this is crazy that they thought this was good.
For freeing me today. Yeehaw!
They used to trash Howard Stern. Howard Stern hated them. Now, oh, come on!
Holy moly.
Let's see.
What an avant-garde Sarah filmmaking. I had no idea what that was. Some cameos in there. I saw Red Bar. I don't know who the other dude was. Welcome everyone. WINO Forever the Deppening, episode 69. I want to welcome back David by popular demand.
Together and blow.
I can't get enough of that. God, do I love that. You know, Scott Bailos should be joining us. We'll wait. We'll save his intro for when he comes on. Yeah. But I have another thing I have from David I think people love. And this kills me because Sarah's not on it. She's the biggest super fan of this entity in pop culture that there is. Okay, where are we? Let me play this quick. I hope I'm not. Okay. Here we go. So this is now we talked about last time. David is working. He's such a renaissance man, but he's working with EA Sports on a new Canasta 2023 video game. He's doing the musical score for it. He's doing a lot of the programming, and this is the other project David's working. I don't want to, I read the Hollywood Reporter and Variety as a little sneak preview of this. Let's see where it goes. But Hollywood is a buzz over this. Here we go.
I should probably explain what that is.
Yeah, I'll set it up and that's fine. But I tell you, before you do, that is so. I think I know where you're going with that, and it's not a joke. You're truly making that straight. So let me you explain it.
Well, so it's so stupid, but
it's not stupid, not at all, not at all.
Oh, there's Scott.
Okay, Scott, hold on a second. We're just in the middle of. We'll get to you in a second with theme song. If you hear us.
So an animator on the show, BoJack Horseman, and a team of some other people are trying to pitch an animated...
Oh, my BoJack Horseman over here.
I know, it's a perfect name for Dennis Miller voice.
Oh, it is BoJack Horseman. Okay.
Yeah. They're trying to create and pitch this animated version of the Golden Girls set in 3033. So it's like the original dialogue from the show, but they're able to put in like other sight gags in between the lines. So I did like a futuristic version of the music that opens every episode.
I love it. I don't know
and I'm
how
trying
they
to
say no
be
to
funny
that.
about it.
No, it is, but it's tongue in cheek. It's perfect. It's exactly what it feels like, almost like Mars Attackian.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's like
Um,
that sort of, Jetsons,
yeah.
kind of mid 20th century perception of outer space and blah blah blah. So.
Where did you hear about did you just somebody just tipped you off on?
Yeah, so it's on YouTube, but there was like an IndieWire article about it, and I saw the 3-minute little pilot that they made, and it's tricky being a composer because they're not under salary at movie studios, so you have to do a lot of door knocking and just creative ways of pitching yourself. So that's the one nice thing about
aren't
social
you a
media.
Buckwall client? You're not a Buckwall?
Yeah, exactly. Along with
who am I, Michael McQuishan over here?
along with Kathleen Turner and
Lolita Ritmanis, I remember, and I don't know if you know these people. That's a Justice League composers. Michael McQuishan, I remember that name as well.
Okay, yeah.
You'd like. Have you ever heard the Justice League?
Oh yeah.
Themes? Oh, it's great. I could
so
see
great.
that's very in the style. I could see you doing it and working on. There's a ton of DC shows that that's really good. I mean, I'm not being biased. I truly, it is exactly what. How do you say no to that?
Yeah, I hope I've messaged all the people that I could find involved with the show directly. So something will pan out. It's just getting as much stuff out there as possible. So
I want to say hi to the chat. Melvin, Hooper, A. Smith. We have Babs DeRush. Oh, my Barbara DeRush over here. I don't always chat, but I'm reading and listening. Okay, good to have you, Barbara. Pell, sir, welcome. Always a pleasure to have you and your Kryptonian wisdom. Katie Aldana, welcome from Northern Virginia. I thank you for covering the Depp trial for us. Herbert Arnold, welcome. Starting, they all knew this. Yeah. I didn't even know the reference. I didn't even know. I knew it was John. Like, I obviously know John's voice.
Right.
JJ Thrash, missed you on Gunk last night. Was it weird? I was, I'll tell you what, full disclosure, I've been slaving over the Beth Strionic birthday show, which is tomorrow night, right around this time. I don't know if it's 8 o'clock or 7, it might be a little later than this. And okay. I've geez, you talk about my time is not money. I put 12 hours of just pouring over Beth's history. I mean, I'm not even close to done. I gave Monique what she needs for tomorrow, at least easily. But this we could go as easily as we're doing this. It could easily be 3 parts. And I'm just picking and choosing. They're all my favorite kids and some weird clips. I want to thank Boff, too, for directing me to, the movie Whipped with Brian Von Holt.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Amanda Pete love triangle. Yeah, so I got that right. I got a little clip from that and that weird. That movie's so dead that the algorithms won't even pick it up. You know what I mean?
I love that it was.
No, we're not going to comment. The algorithm's like embarrassed that it would even identify Whipped.
I love that when she went on the Late Late Show with Kilborn. Is it Craig Kilborn?
Yes.
That was one of the things that he mentioned, like to ground the audience in who this was coming out to sit with him.
Katie Aldana, I heard this on your Instagram, David. I love it, and she loves the Golden Girls.
Oh, thanks, Katie.
She's right. I agree. I don't know how you say no to it. I don't know what you want. What do you want? Remember William Shatner in the studio is like, you know what you want. You do it then. That's what I would be like if I were you. Like, how do you say no to this?
Yeah,
exactly. You can't get any better than that. Like in the description, they give you
if your mouth were open, you'd pop some pills in it.
There it is. Speaking of which,
Scott.
Say hi to Scott. Hey, hello, everyone.
There was just so much that went on over the last few minutes. I wanted to jump in like 10 times. What the fuck is going on with the Golden Girls now?
You want me to? David's got to be exhausted explaining that. David's being somewhat tapped to do the theme song for the Golden Girl. It's like a futuristic animated series. You remember how we talked about David's developing a new game for EA Sports, Canasta 2023-24?
Of course.
Well, he has also been tapped to develop an animated series theme song for Golden Girls 3033, which doesn't. I've seen a lot of crazy shit animated. Remember the old Saturday morning cartoons used to do stuff like this all the time? They'd have like futuristic this and futuristic Flintstones, and and obviously that's the Jetsons. But there was so many things like this, and they've gotten away from that. and cartoons need to be resuscitated. We need Saturday morning
Yeah.
cartoons again.
I agree.
I hate to put a hex on it or anything, and as much as I truly love the Golden Girls,
Yeah.
It won't work.
What won't work?
That kind of cartoon now. It would have
I don't know, Scott. I think there's so many streaming services with so many eclectic things and so many horrible things. Look, don't make me play the Jackson Delabate card. Because
You have to leave.
and I will get it greenlit at Netflix.
You have to leave perfection alone. The Golden Girls was perfection, and
It is-
when you
it
fuck
is
with it's
perfection.
going to ruin its legacy.
It is perfection, but I think that we need a new generation latching on to how brilliant it was.
And what they're doing is they're using lines from the original show and sort of animating it and putting sight gags in between. So it's not like they're recasting.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's not even been sold yet. So, but thank you, Arm, for saying I was tapped. We got to get that rumor mill going.
That's what Buckwall does at the
Exactly.
Buckwall agency.
If that happens, I wish it nothing but success. But I'm telling you, there's no way it's working.
It's possible. Yeah.
Even if it doesn't go, you have a good reel and say that it did. You did the pilot for it, and then just use that on your audition reel.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
doesn't get
there's a million shows. Any music is there's only like 10 genres of anything, so the music is can be interchangeable from thing to thing. So
definitely. So let's say hello to Scott Balow and Only the Way Sarah Knows How.
Feeling so excited. It's the start of a brand new day. The sun couldn't shine much brighter, 'cause everything is going our way.
What's a manga?
I got contacted by a friend Boff, who helps me out with so many hard to get things. I can't thank him enough. He is so interesting. He saves me so much time with just directing me to these simplistic links. And he commented on you, Balow, about your gamer fetish, and he was talking about how to get video games on YouTube and stuff. And we're gonna have him on, I think, to talk Funko Land with you.
Sweet.
If it's all right.
Yeah, they have emulators that you can run on the PC, and they just I've done it before where you just you open it in a different window and it streams. But yeah, it's amazing.
How we fuse that into Depp, I have no idea, but I'll figure it out somehow. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'll figure it out somehow.
I bet Depp played Super Mario back in the day.
There's not the pilot of 21 Jump Street. He's playing Space Invaders with Holly Robinson. Maybe I'll work that in somehow. And who doesn't play Space Invaders with Holly Robinson, right?
You know what? And since you got me all hopped up, I'm sorry to jump in so much. No. But you got me all hopped up on cartoon talk now, because I have terrible self-esteem and all that shit. But I have had a couple good ideas, and I have this one idea for a cartoon show, and I'm telling you, it would be somewhere between The Simpsons and Rick and Morty. And it would be huge. But I need something like a blank template of how to fill in, to flesh out the characters and the storyline. Is there somewhere I could find something like that?
I like to call it a tabula rasa. As far as how to kind of an animated series kind of skeleton thing. Yeah. I mean, what's great about The Simpsons and Family Guy and I've never seen Rick and Morty, but I hear it's popular. It's really you could do whatever you want. Non sequiturs. There's no continuity. It doesn't really matter to people. So I don't know if you need to worry about being that tight. I think. If anyone can do it, it's you. You have my backing. I say go for it. Life is short, as Ivana Trump will tell you today, and I believe you should do it. I believe someone's got to do it. Why not you, Balow, and have David do the musical score?
I would absolutely call on him for that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, definitely.
Doesn't whatchamacallit do the Simpsons musical score?
Elfman.
Bridget Fonda's
Elfman,
yeah, Danny Elfman, right,
Mr. Bridget Fonda. Yeah.
Mr. Bridget Fonda.
He did the theme, and then they had a composer named Alf Clausen do it for years, and now
Alf Clausen,
exactly.
over here.
All these great names, yeah.
You know about that Norm Macdonald story with one of the writers, got Ian Maxtone Graham from The Simpsons?
I do, yeah, where he got into like a fist fight with him for smoking. Yeah.
How did you get that?
I'm a big Norm fan.
I said nothing, and you somehow got that. It was Saturday Night Live pitch meeting. The show was in its absolute worst year, like 1994, 95. And nobody wanted to be there. And there was a bad pitch. Norm started chain smoking at the table, and Ian Maxtone Graham's like a typical fucking Ivy League staunch non-smoker, and he squirted him with a water pistol. And Norm, who was, I think Norm was like an old hockey hooligan. He grabbed him by the lapel and just knocked him out right at the table. I think that's gone around. It's just that's as simple. That's the whole story.
There's a couple stories of Norm kind of getting into cartoon dust-ups with people.
He's a very, very complex dude. I don't know if to this day if I ever quite figured him out entirely.
Yeah,
and I think even his friends don't know him entirely.
I think
that was one of the mystique about him.
Yeah.
David Hooper says you did the original scores for the Our Gang series, The Little Rascals. He pitched it to Hal Roach. Hal Roach is a pretty prickly guy, right?
He didn't pay them. Yeah, I'm sure he's why the Jackie Coogan laws came into effect, where the Jackie Martling laws.
Does anything drive you crazier than billionaires being cheap bastards?
That's why I'm here.
They say that that's why they're rich, right? I've heard this the last 2 years. I've heard a lot of people commenting on really, really wealthy people and that they are insanely cheap about dumb stuff, and they go, "That's why they're rich, because they never stop counting. They never stop. Everything is a pain. Every spending is a pain to them." And they're rich for a reason, that they are all almost universally cheap.
Yeah. And that's why I would never be rich, because I would share it.
I'm not a good negotiator. I'm not good at any of that stuff. I understand why you need agents in life. Like, I'm the worst negotiator. I'm a fucking, Greg Oden negotiator. I just feel like there's some real, I would be amongst the worst negotiations in the history of whatever business you're in, from sports to show business. Rooster, thank you for being a friend. Nice. Thank you, A. Smith, Hooper. Okay, we're going to start with some kind of newsy things. One of them's Depp related, one of them's Stern related. Fine Chug, welcome. Kylo Sierra Alpha, welcome. Sarah has a wisdom tooth issue. She was supposed to be on for 15 minutes. That's all she was going to do. And she just bailed. She said, I can't do it. I can't talk. I don't feel, I have a headache. When it rides up, the wisdom tooth rides up to the temple kind of move. So she was supposed to be here for 15 minutes to just talk about these stories. And now she can't. So I am going to
feel better, Sarah.
Yeah, feel better.
Is she in the Thanks, guys. Is she in the chat now? I thought I saw her said run the banner, and I moved on. So Two Master, welcome, sir. Marble hoarding is exactly the word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One time when I worked at CBS New York for 3 months, and it was a horrible. I had no computer. I was pecking like Foghorn Leghorn. I had no typing skills. You talk about not knowing the home keys and stuff. And I had not a home computer, so I was trying to learn on it was hard. I was booking commercials, and I had good people skills, but it was just, and it was a just total tyrant sales associate I was working for. Anyway, when they offered me, when I got the job, my negotiation was they threw out some, like, it was like $30,000 a year, and they go, do you have anything to say? I go, yeah, I'm sure that's fine. That was my negotiation. I had no hubris. I had no self-esteem. I was like, I'm sure that's fine. I literally, I'll never forget the quote. My friend who got me the job was in the room with me. He's like, "He's great negotiations. Like you're regular Ari Gold or something." I'm sure that's fine.
Well, you shouldn't have to do that. They should offer you something, decent right off the bat.
A living wage,
Yeah.
Nancy was Jackie's agent. That's right, A. Smith. That's right. Well, I mean, but was she ever like? And no, there was no Oleo Records, and
I mean, they seem like equal business partners in all their pursuits. I don't know if I feel like the Nancy as Jackie's agent thing was sort of a Howard lie, like during
Yeah.
the serious years.
No, Jackie had a Jack. I don't know. I don't know that. Yeah, you're absolutely right because Howard Jackie used to say, and we've heard many. He was represented by Rory Rosegarden, who
Yes.
represented Ray
That's right.
Romano and a couple other comedians, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Agent. So I think he represented a lot of the New York-based comedians.
I am one of 8 people who follows Nancy's band on Spotify.
Is she 70?
The Scoldies.
Oldies.
I don't know. I don't know how old she is actually.
Nancy Sirianni and the Associates says two master. Who knows all? Is that it?
Well,
Nancy Sirianni.
It's the band is called the Scoldies. But they have a profile on Spotify. So
Sarah is obsessed with. Maybe we'll play this next time. Nancy Sirianni's Christmas song.
Oh, the best.
Dun, dun,
Oh yeah.
It's
we wait all year and finally, yeah.
No, say it. Please, no.
It's
finish that. Please finish that.
that.
Finish it. Finish it. If you know, please finish it.
It's like we wait all year and finally here it's Christmas.
And David is
Very
clear.
nice, David.
Exactly.
Hey,
Who said that?
Hey.
he couldn't help rhyme queer.
Yeah. It was right there.
It was right there.
That blank check was right there.
Said with nothing but love.
Nancy Sirianni Cougar Mellencamp Martin is my Chuck. The yodel song. All right. Sarah writes about it. Here's an update. Hey guys, never fear. My dental appointment is August 26th. Dr. Bob Ostrowski is my oral surgeon. He's going to bill me 10 times, and I'm going to sign off on it.
And he's just going to shove him back in.
Just going to shove him back in when she gets elbowed by Carmelone I'm sorry, Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner is going to elbow Beth.
He's going to throw a basketball in Sarah's face and then shove it back in. Yeah.
All right, so here we go. I am going to play. I'm sorry, I'm not going to play anything. I'm going to read the Amber Heard story. I don't know if it's all right with Sarah. Again, this is just, I'm getting a little tired of this weird trial business and Oz Karate shooting stuff down. What is going on here? You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a weird. My Chrome is kind of delayed. Hey, come on.
Ugh.
Hold on a second, guys. I would say it's okay. Whoa, okay. Sorry, guys. Sure. There's a little glitch there. Come on. I just restarted. Okay. So, man, this is just. Tell me if you see this. It's giving me that damn hourglass thing. Okay, I think it's okay. This is from Yahoo, and I'll read it like Feeney. This came out July 13th on Wednesday by Taryn Ryder. This is from Yahoo. Amber Heard isn't getting a new trial in a defamation case against Johnny Depp. Judge Penny Ascarati, who oversaw the 6-week spectacle, denied the actress's attempt to toss the verdict and $10.35 million judgment. Lawyers for the Aquaman star were seeking a mistrial on multiple grounds. One argument they made was there was an apparent case of mistaken identity with juror 15. In that wrong person from the household reported to court. In her order on Wednesday, the judge said the juror filled out the jury questionnaire properly. It was questioned by both sides. The parties also questioned the jury panel for a full day and informed the court that the jury panel was acceptable, as Karate wrote. Therefore, due process was guaranteed and provided to all parties in this litigation. There's no evidence of fraud or wrongdoing. Sounds like the Trump stuff in the election in Georgia. The judge added, defendant does not allege juror 15's inclusion in the jury prejudiced her in any way. The jury was vetted, sat for an entire deliberated, and reached a verdict. The only evidence before this court was that this juror and all jurors followed their oaths, court's instructions, and orders. This court is bound by the competent decision of the jury. Heard is yet to speak out about the legal blow. A lot of people going around about this. Did anybody really believe it was going to be overturned? This is going to work out. There's just a lot of just histrionic, shall we say, weird appeals. And I want her to get away because I want a retrial. I want more. We're full of shit, and all these grifters who are pretending to celebrate. You want it too because you didn't know who Depp was until this trial started. You want it too. I'm here for the entertainment, and I think there's a lot of stuff that we could have gotten. Like, he's going to win again, and we know that. They're saying, like, why would it matter if the son or the father? And she had a chance, and apparently Amber knew this mistake was made and she let it go anyway, and it didn't. They're gonna vote the same way. It's about the jury. And I don't know if she's not gonna stop doing it, and we love that she's not gonna stop appealing. We want her to appeal, right? I mean,
I want her to get a reality show. Like
we called that. Debbie, did you hear us say it? That's the first thing I said. She's gonna get a reality show.
Oh, totally. I mean,
did you hear? Yes.
She's a disgraced show business person. That's where they go after that.
She is destined for it. It is a no-brainer, and I'm telling you, I don't blame them for doing it. It's all about what makes the Kardashians more noble than Amber Heard. They're basically OJ advocates and facilitators. And Kim Kardashian is famous from a porn tape with Ray J, lest us forget. Ryan Seacrest put them on the map. Why are they more noble than Amber Heard is?
Well, and I have a theory that people get jobs in show business nowadays based on how memeable they are. And that was the entire time she was on the stand, was people were getting so many memes out of it and GIFs and all this stuff. So why wouldn't they, give her a reality show?
It was one big TikTok.
Right.
From the day. And I mean, and from people who had no idea who she was, who Depp's career was, and then they're doing, like, I sat there and going, because I've been a fan of I've been ensconced in this guy's career since 1987, and I'm just seeing all these charlatans and posers latching on to the trial, and I'm like, holy shit, what is going on? Talking about referencing his sister and his agent. I mean, these people that are intimate to me,
right?
Christy Dombrowski and Tracey Jacobs and Bruce Whitkin and Sal Jenco. We don't know the half of it. Sarah and I were I was telling her last night that the UK trial had so many salacious things. If you listen to our reenactment of the transcript of the UK trial, you think you're starting to lose faith in him too. Like, it is a way different vibe, way different evidence was submitted and got to be submitted, and you're not going to feel optimistic about his chances during that. And he doesn't look good in the UK. If you listen to our reenactment of the UK trial, there's so many times where we stop the transcript and doubt ourselves, and we start going, holy shit, wow. And so much of that stuff wasn't submitted. Stuff like, apparently there's a thread right now where a crazy, sick, feminazi Amber Heard fan started a thread where she's unleashing all this weird dirt on Depp. Stuff like he let his 15-year-old daughter live with a 24-year-old wigger on his compound, and it's under the auspices of, oh well, we're from her mother's from France, and Roman Polanski, and he did the ninth. He met Vanessa. Well, he didn't meet her because of it, but Roman Polanski was kind of the conduit to him meeting, and that. So
right,
it was never infused in the trial, and I know they wanted to. It was infused in the UK trial. There's a ton of stuff.
You know what? If she was smart, she would start a podcast with Opie and Stuttering John, because there's the three most hated people in the world.
Amber, Opie, and Anthony.
Anthony.
And what Sarah had a great point yesterday. We talked about the UK trial, and she was like, well, obviously his lawyers studied the fuck out of the UK trial and what not to do, and it was a great template. If you're gonna lose one of the trials, have it be that one, the one no one sees, the one that's not televised.
Right.
and they studied the fuck out of it, and they said, let's do this, and the Amber people, Bredhoft and Rottenborn went the opposite way. They almost got cocky, thinking, "Oh, we just need one abuse case out of the 7, and we won." You would get you caught, right? I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I wonder how different the result would be had it not been televised, and because I'm sure the jury, against instructions, looked at social media and looked at everything that was being said about Amber on the stand or anything like that. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but
no, you're not. You're not. Yeah, it's a great point. And you can't prove you have to be ridiculous to even levy that warning to a jury in this day and age, where this isn't 1995, where you're
Right.
avoiding what? What are you avoiding? Access Hollywood and Entertainment Tonight. You're avoiding there's got to be 500 times the media sources that are in, from your phone to tab to God knows what, and alerts come. I don't know how you would avoid it.
Well, and also
they leave the jury and they're inundated with it.
Yeah, and also there's so many people with opinions now, and everyone seems like they know what they're talking about because everyone is doing deep dives like you guys, and I mean, it's just there's very few secrets, or there's very few editorializing pieces about any subject nowadays, especially celebrities.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. And their family members inundating them. They know exactly what they're doing. And the bigger this trial got, the more their family members would fawn over what they were doing. And I just don't. You can't expect them to do it either. The optics were everything, and I think they claim that they vetted, the jury about having just being completely impartial, and they'd been through. I've not seen any of them speak yet. They'd been through the vetting process of trying to get ones completely unbiased, and I just don't know how you would. But to get 7 out of 7 is extraordinarily difficult. And we could, second guess and God knows what each time. And her on the stand seems to be the thing people point to the most, because she's so, and the worst thing for her is this: you're an actress, and this is your calling card. This is your milieu, and you can't convince this jury in your cup of tea. This is what you do, and you can't even do that. It's the worst insult.
She's auditioning for Dawson's Creek.
What did you say?
Everwood.
Oh, Everwood. Yeah, I don't think if she auditioned, I think those WB shows or CW shows. I don't think I think she'd miss. I think she gets. I don't think she'd make it to the second cut.
I agree. It's after school special acting. Yeah.
And she's also. You notice she was trying to adopt Scarlett Johansson's inflection. She had the same vocal quality.
Sultry, yeah. Right.
Yeah. I if you listen to her thing again, it's impossible to miss it. Johnny, she's Johnny.
Yeah. Johnny. Yeah, yes. That was my favorite.
Let's go. So I'm going to go here to so Mickey Rourke, who's been a longtime friend of Depp's. They were in this movie Once Upon a Time in Mexico, which is a Robert Rodriguez film, but they had no scenes together. They've known each other since the 90s, just from the scene. To every young actor back then idolized Mickey Rourke, and then he kind of went there. And Jon Favreau, who's now famous for taking people off the balls of their ass, and from Downey to Mickey Rourke to
Howard.
To Howard, to Dr. Doom. We'll see where that debacle goes. My only take on to just follow up on that, the Dr. Doom thing. I can be convinced that's a work if they leave it in the replay. I'm 100% convinced it's a work if they left it in the replay.
Right, I agree.
So how would you would know at that point immediately? You would scrub it out of the replay. And I actually did not go back, and when we initially did that gunk thing, I tried to find it on the replay, and the series app would not. I couldn't get to the next one, and it was time was running out, and I'd never saw. But if it's in the replay, then it's deliberate.
Who did they have on like 9 months ago where it was like Howard was dying to get him, and then like a commercial was playing over the beginning of the interview? Was it like
Jagger?
Keith Richard? Oh, Mick Jagger.
Jagger.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know it's bad when they moved the show to the afternoon to get him. He was
Right.
on for a very, very, very cheesy, uncharacteristic. I think it was 31 minutes. So he
Oh, wow.
wants this. Typically he's, they're lucky to have one guest a week. It was somebody was asking me, was it Dennis? What else can you do to this show to make it worse? They've already stripped down everything you could do. It can't be any worse. Like you can't. What
Yeah, I
else could
agree.
you do? The news is gone. Robin's news is gone. Even if you
Yeah.
like that or whatever, that's gone. There's no comedian sitting in. So what else? He doesn't talk about anything. That rich 1 percentile lifestyle. What else could you do to make this show worse? And my only answer was just have less guests.
Right.
Have less guests. So he's going to do that same bullshit, fake shtick and horrible repartee and banter and grooving, as they say. And that's exactly what. So for 2 years straight, he's had 17 guests. Everything is so.
Jesus.
So you go from January 3rd so basically from New Year's Day to Labor Day, 17 guests. That's all.
And meanwhile, he has a book out in the last 5 years about how he's the master interviewer. It's
right.
You couldn't.
Well,
have
that's your brand. That's his supposed brand, right? So you're not even doing your brand. If anybody listens to Sirius on any channel, when they promote Howard, they do a medley of guests they have on. Like every day, Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Gwyneth Paltrow, Russell Crowe, huge. They'll go 2 months without a guest. That's not the show. I don't know what it is, but he's too lazy to have. And you could make a case that it's actually an easier show to have a guest because you're just focusing on that one thing. But he's too lazy to even do that.
It's interesting when Howard puts out something big like, like Private Parts, the movie, and then he gets divorced. And, the moral of that story, if you could even find it, was about being a good family man. And then he does Howard Stern Comes Again, and he has 17 guests on in the first half of 2022.
We talk about Jackie. So he stole the title from Jackie, which is crazy.
That's right. Yeah.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. It does not get brought up. That title is a Jackie Martling comedy album. And don't tell me he didn't know what he was fucking doing when he stole. Not only it's 16 pages of new content. It was so weird. Monique this week had there was some weird advertisement that plopped down in a trade of Sirius wanting a host for the Howard Stern channels, and it was just so bizarre. It was so vague, and they just plopped it down. And it reminded me of and it was Monique that found the Amazon promotion for that horrible book, Comes Again. It was sitting there 2 years before it came out. We found it like, what is this? What book is he coming out? And he sheepishly, like 2 years later, decided to talk. And there was like a little bit of shame in his voice, like he knew what a piece of shit it was, and he couldn't pull the hucksterism thing, the con man shit during promote. I could hear it. There's this tinge of shame in his voice. You could feel it.
Yeah, and if I recall, like, my favorite thing about that whole saga was the Robin Williams lies.
We did a show on that almost immediately.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that interview isn't even in the book, but that was part of his. I was
very proud of that show. I went and I found that the interview never existed. So he conflated an interview. 1986 is the only time he talked to Robin Williams. Then he went around making pretend that he did an interview with Williams in the early 90s, which didn't exist. I knew it didn't.
Right.
I'm encyclopedic about his guests during the 90s. I mean, I knew all the big, and he never, and I knew he did. And I had this group email with Monique and McDowell's, who ripped that show off, I think later on. And I go, he never did it. He's pretending he did an interview with Robin Williams. It doesn't exist. And we went through it and proved it and shit. I'm very proud of that show. It was like 4 years ago or something.
Also, Robin Williams is big enough of a star that an early 90s interview of him wouldn't get under the radar. That wouldn't be lost to the sands of time, unlike his interview with, like,
they would have played it on with best ofs all the time.
Of course,
That's why you knew it. And so that's a great observation, right? Because everything he does, he will mightily contradict it. He has no convictions, so don't expect that. Even the therapy, I think, is fit. If he goes to therapy, could you have a worse promotion of someone going to therapy than him? What on
No.
earth?
Oh,
He
yeah.
couldn't be. He's almost more. He's more of a passive aggressive asshole. If it did anything, I don't think he actually goes. I think it's just a great excuse to claim that you're working on yourself, and it gives you a great out. You can blame your therapist when you want to get out of something. I don't think he does any of it.
I think about his therapy every second of that Wendy Williams rant and how ineffective it is. If he actually goes, I agree with you. You know.
And if there is therapy going on, he has his therapist tell him. Don't you think it ends the same way every time? Like, he tells his therapist he's such a victim and everyone's relying on him and he hates the world and everyone sucks. And the therapist just kind of nods along, go, yeah. You know, he just does the professional victim act for 45 minutes. Don't you think it goes every session ends the same way?
And I think I remember hearing a show you guys did where he's in analysis where it's more about reflection than problem solving.
Yes.
And I can totally see that because that is Howard. He wants it's akin to, I love making the announcement, but I never want to put in the work.
Yes.
You know, it's just it's right in line with his laziness, but his need for he's this weird combination of he needs so much attention, but is ultimately lazy as fuck. Like, I've never seen those two things exist in the same human.
Yeah, lazy as fuck. And then it's always like whenever there's a story to comment on, he's also too cool for school. So there's a contrast. He wants to be too cool for school. So, and then, like, you know, there's a story and he's called upon to comment on it. Don Buchwald's office could not be reached or whatever. So he ducks everything. He never takes anything on. He's like, listen to my show and I'll comment on it. But he is too lazy to even do. He wants to brag about turning shit down, stuff that's completely above him. Like, he's beneath all these things. He is not an A. I was listening to Dennis Miller. Oh God, who was he talking? It was some interview. It was recent. It was like 2 years ago, and Dennis Miller was somewhat whining. It was not, you know, he's usually a dick, but he wasn't a dick in this instance. He was talking about how he no longer is the first guest on a talk show. He's been bumped down to number 2. And that's the East Hampton private airport that just got shut down.
Yeah.
It's the last private jet. I just found a picture of Howard walking up.
Bethany Frankel leaving for the weekend.
Leave it to David.
Sorry, it was the helicopter just stopped by.
Where was I? So Dennis Miller is saying that he's the number 2 guest on the show. And I'm listening to him and I'm going, Howard's no better than Dennis Miller. Howard's no bigger than Dennis Miller. You know, he's on that. I believe that he will not book himself on a show if they relegate him to a number 2 guest. Like, if he's on with, say, give me one, Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's number 2.
Oh, agreed.
But he will not do a show unless he's the number 1 guy to come out.
Well, and he's lucky that all of the late night talk show hosts see him as a hero, because I don't think he would get that spot if they didn't perceive him that way.
From Fallon to Kimmel to Seth Meyers, they all kiss his ass and they want his, and that's kind of enabled him to be the pain in the ass he is. I think you were saying, Belo?
No, I wasn't saying that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were.
I think that Howard, I remember during the book promotion when he was on Colbert and he got the whole show, and it was like the worst appearance ever. And that it made me think about how Howard's career probably should have died with like all the 90s like degradation talk shows like Jenny Jones and Jerry Springer and all this
Morton
stuff.
Downey. Yeah.
He seems
Jerry
like
Springer.
It's very like regional talk show host level was Howard's career, but then somehow he conned. No,
it was very localized. Exactly right. Yeah, they were localized kind of guests you would not book if you were in LA. That's exactly right. It's a great observation by you.
Yeah,
one that you weren't even born for, but great observation.
Right, because he always bragged about like the Channel 9 show beats Saturday Night Live like 3 times over, but he doesn't qualify it and say in New York. You know, the Channel 9 show wasn't on in
in
multiple
old
cities.
Westbury in Rockville Center. The Channel 9
Right.
show beat Saturday Night Live. And that was like, that Saturday Night Live was a juggernaut. You're talking
Yes.
Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, Jan Hooks. Every fucking episode was good. Even the utility players. I will put my name on. Go back and watch any episode of that era. If Dana Carvey's on it, it destroyed. It was
They're
always
great.
good.
Yeah.
Always good.
You know what? One of my favorite digs at Howard was when Futurama, Billy West saying Howard Stern is overrated.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It's the
They did a dig
greatest.
on him, Billy
Oh,
on
yeah.
Futurama. I didn't see that. When
Dude,
did that come out?
I think it's in the first episode of Futurama.
Pilot?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
You got to check it out. It's amazing.
You see, David's score could be Futurama-esque. It had that
Right.
feel to it.
Yeah, totally.
Fine Chug says, you remember when he used to have 2 guests a day, 5 days a week? Fine Chug, I went on a show. I saw a show from 2002. He had 5 guests in the same day. 2 phoners and 3 in studio. 2002. And it was like nothing. And that's what we came to expect. If he had 1 day without a guest, it was crazy. And back then, the big movie promotion was on Friday. So he'd have the big guest on a Friday that would come into New York to do whatever the New York shows with Regis and Kathy Lee and Letterman and all that stuff. So once you got rid of Friday, you got rid of a whole swath of guests. And then Thursday is the other one. So it's a different landscape now, but that was there's not what he is, and the show can't even be listenable unless you have a guest that is interesting, because he ain't gonna he's incapable of carrying shit. And when you hear that dead air we always make fun of with the set, that's where Artie would go in. When we play like 12 seconds of dead air, that's Artie. Just picture that's where an Artie sort of quip or rant would go, right in that little dead air he has. And that's the kind of the sort of inert feeling you have when you listen to that show, with the low energy and no passion and it's not goofy, it's not anything. It is a show about nothing.
By the way, Sarah, when you get them Vicodin from your wisdom teeth, make sure a few fall into my pocket.
That's good. Pello writes, the book is an unoriginal carbon copy. The title's unoriginal. It's an act of thievery on every level. Yes, sir. Two Mass. It would be all over YouTube if that interview ever existed. Yes, it would. Two Mass. The only, like I said, 1986. Did you guys know Robin Williams did a little interstitial for Howard on his birthday bash in 2014?
I remember hearing that on
it?
your Robin Williams show. I heard it. Yeah.
He just came in and it was like, and that's nice of him. What does he have to gain by being in Howard's stead? Nothing.
It was like 7 months before he died too. It was crazy.
That's a terrible, terrible suicide.
I know.
That was. I actually had a clip of Gary on the wrap-up show admitting that Howard never interviewed him too.
Yeah.
Which is like a big oops, because he's got to go along with the lie. Gary's like, I don't know. Yeah, Howard never actually interviewed him in the 90s. I don't know what it is. And he's let that slip, and I was able to get that during the Steve Harvey Oswald, which I love. Wig tries to act like peers with relevant pop acts, and it's never felt equal to the geriatrics he respects. I know Leslie West for the millennials, little Leslie West and Greg Allman.
Mountain
for the millennial. Mountain for the millennial. That's a great Mountain for the millennials. That's a great sketch. He's a sociopath. Exactly. Can't use that word enough. He uses therapy like Tony Soprano does to pad his own thoughts. Yes, Pello. His therapy is so narcissistic. I've never heard of anybody going to therapy 3 times. I haven't either, Babs. And I know some pretty disturbed mental patients in my life. And speaking of mental patients, Scott Balow, did you get in contact with KC at all?
No, I haven't yet, but I'll call him. I'm weird with the phone. It takes.
You have his number, right?
Yeah.
You can text him. You don't have to get on the phone with him if you want.
Yeah, I will.
Again,
I'm just a weirdo.
Do it at your own pace. Don't go by me.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling good, don't overanalyze it.
Oh no, yeah, I'll let you know when that happens.
Kylo Sierra Alpha. Maybe his therapist job was to keep him in the closet and not work on relationships. Me too, Rooster. Is the media really looking forward to Howard's comment? No, well, Rooster, that's what the Buckwald machine is. Howard hired a publicist, I should say, and I try to reiterate this on Gunk all the time. I don't think this gets enough play. He hired Leslie Dart, who's Woody Allen's publicist, PR person, when that horrible book came out, because they knew what a piece of shit it was, what an absolute debacle it was. So they hired Leslie Dart, and that firm is very good at creating PR, and that's why he gets. I mean, literally, there's 15 people listening, and he's getting stories planted in Yahoo about very, very prosaic, nothing quotes he has about Trump or what, and you hear better than that on MSNBC in every 10 minutes. And he's getting quoted in these major, online publications, and it makes no sense. Nothing. It's not clever. It's not insightful. It's late. It's even like during the Depp thing. You know how enraged you heard how enraged I was. He comes to the trial. I call it cold Chinese food. 3 weeks after the trial, so with some horrible, no ballless fucking take, and he's quoted. There's nothing. He knew nothing. He said nothing. He impacted nothing, and he's quoted in a thing, and then he backpedaled on it because Robert Downey Jr. probably called him and said, "Oh no, John, Depp's actually right about this. You're on the wrong side."
He needs to be
Grandma.
told what's. I always
needs to be told what to say.
Yeah, and I think that he always gets to stuff a couple months after it happens because he wants to be the only one talking about it in that moment.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So like, if a major kind of world event kind of happens, 3 weeks later he's talking about it, but he thinks he's got exclusivity because everyone else has moved on.
Right.
I think it's not too cool for school. Like I'll talk about it when I'm ready to talk about it, and you'll leave it up.
Agreed.
There's some of that too. I also think, don't ever discount, he has a whole gaggle of lawyers that
Of course he
every
does.
movie makes, and he wasn't like that in the 90s. It was way loose cannon. Now they're telling him, that could be legal action. No, don't say that. Don't say that. You just, you're fucking 70 years old. Just drift into, partial retirement, and don't push it. Don't put. And I really think this team of lawyers he has retainer lawyers, and they're vetting everything he does. Not that he wants to. Not that he wants any fucking contract. He doesn't. He wants that. He wants the Clooney Cabana. That's his goal, above all.
And meanwhile, in the 90s, he would wish death on Kathy Lee's kids or something, and just say that off the. I mean, it's so strange. There's no
Sue Monster.
Yeah,
Sue Monster, welcome. He loves a discussion about himself. Gracias. Well said, Sue Monster, and welcome. Thank you for all your kind words in the comments. Pell, it's exactly what I was saying. He'll refuse to be number 2, like James Caan not wanting to follow the animal thing. Oh, that's right. I heard that story too. That was a Stuttering John story. Yeah, it's the talks. That's what was so brilliant about the Larry Sanders Show. I don't know if you guys watched it. It's really that whole like guest protocol thing was so brilliant, the way they handled that. And people, that was kind of like a huge element of the show. Like it's just like the A list and the B list.
Oh yeah, and it's funny you bring that up, because when you were talking about Howard's battery of lawyers, I was thinking about how Howard in the early 2010s said he was hanging out with Brad Gray, who, Gary Shandling sued over stealing writers from the Larry Sanders Show, and
that's why Shandling vanished. That's a great reference by you. That's why Shandling vanished for a while. He successfully sued Gray, right? Didn't he win a lot of money in that?
I think so. And then Howard talked about hanging out with the guy, and I think Letterman even said when he interviewed Howard, when Letterman still had a show, like, Brad Gray's an asshole. Like, what are you doing hanging out with him?
And he didn't know what to do with that. I remember that. He didn't know what to do with that. Oh, that's such a great reference by you. That's the Brad Gray stuff and then he mysteriously passes away. They should do like a documentary on Brad Gray. I want to know.
I think the Judd Apatow documentary on Gary Shandling covers it a little bit. I haven't seen it, but
no, it's good. It's really good. It's as good as, Judd Apatow has like a huge man crush on Shandling and a lot of comedians. He's like a real comedian groupie, even though he was a stand-up for a while, but he's so into fucking stand-ups in a way that's almost like kind of corny. And he loves, and Shandling's brilliant. There's no question about it. But he did a two-part documentary on Shandling on HBO, and it's really good.
Yeah, Judd Apatow has the worshiping thing of Jimmy Kimmel, but he has the resuscitating thing of
Favreau.
of Jon Favreau. Yeah.
No doubt about it. He's a major player. I mean, whether you like him or not, he's a major power player in Hollywood. He's got a ton of movies, and he's not afraid to dip back into TV. You're absolutely right. I mean, that was kind of like Crashing, right?
Right.
You know, Pablo Papano. I agree, but no celeb puts out that they're less relevant. No, they don't, Pablo. But I guess that's where I got to give Dennis Miller credit, because he admitted that he deserved to be number 2. He wasn't exactly defending it. He's saying, well, I think I've irrelevanted myself. I've failed down enough where I should be number 2. He actually said that.
But there's also a way that even if Howard, there's a way to accept your irrelevance and still put out good content. You know, Howard
definitely.
In
this landscape, this isn't 1996 anymore.
Right.
Where you're depending on fucking late night talk shows and you going out on the couch. It's a way different like all those Rogan guys, right? Like on his show, they're not considered but they're getting millions and millions of views on. It's a different pop culture. It's a different entertainment landscape. It's
you got to do podcast interviews.
Yep.
You got to do totally.
Is it just me that's sick of hearing about comedians and their theories on comedy and
the cancel culture? Yes,
disgusting.
definitely. I'm tired of the cancel cultures after them all the time. They love playing the victim, the cancel culture. Oh, what would we do if Ari Shaffir didn't get to play the Comedy Store tonight? Show business would close down. We got it. You're edgy.
Terrible.
We got it. You're edgy. You can't. We got it. You too edgy for me. We got it.
I whenever I comment about any of these people, I always name it as the Rogan Circle of terribly unfunny comedians and special guest Tom Segura, because he's like the only funny one.
Yeah, I mean, but they're all, they're not special. They're all attention whores. They're all they're all grifters, and they all want it. So it's and they act like the world can't go on if they're not doing a pot. You're very replaceable. I'm very self-entertaining in my own head. I don't need you to entertain me. I'm fine. Go away. I'm good with it. Get canceled. I could care less.
Yeah.
Trinity Jean. It's that. Welcome, Trinity Jean. Is that Blue Iris's brother? Is he calling Balo Blue Iris's brother?
Okay.
Blue Balo.
I don't see
Balo
the connection.
Iris. That's I think that's what he's talking about. We have him sounded like Mike Damone from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Trinity Jean, but that's a bad compliment. I feel
my voice is terribly monotone. I'm sorry.
It's better than rejuvenation, Balo.
Oh, my favorite thing is I can't even chew an apple or a dick.
Morton Downey did an audience with it, then kicked us out. Oh God, how long? Okay, next story. Let's go. So there's an Artie story now. He is. He just got out of rehab. God knows we did. I thought he was out of rehab 3 years ago. He loves going away and coming back. So this is what's going on with Artie now. He announced today, and nobody loves going away and coming back. So Balo, this is your ballywick, Balo. Scott Ballywick.
Yeah.
Go ahead, David. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, Artie's career peekaboo that he does with us.
Very nice. That's very poetic. Career peekaboo. I like that. So this is from, what do you know, NewJersey.com. Leave it to them. To me, this is the most extensive one. It says, comedian Artie Lang says he's completed Jersey's mandated drug court, a recovery program for addicts who commits crimes. Happy to announce that I've completed the New Jersey drug court program. Lang said 54 he's 54 now. He's almost a double nickel of Hoboken tweeted Thursday, and I knew that. Thanks to my family and friends and Scott Balo for all your support. The former Howard Stern show sidekick grew up in Union, New Jersey, was arrested on cocaine and heroin possession charges in Hoboken in March of 2017. It's 5 fucking years ago that all went down. Pleaded guilty later that year. He entered a drug rehab program, but was busted again in 2019 in Essex County For failing to comply with the program, Lang spent almost a week at Essex County Jail after he tested positive for cocaine twice in less than 2 months. The comedian, who was not sentenced to jail at the time, then started a rigorous court drug rehab program, which requires him to work at a local job. A video shared by his Twitter account showed him spent time working on a garbage truck. I think he was pumping gas too. Oh, yeah, there we go. When he was arrested, Lang had a job at a gas station on Route 31 in Lebanon, New Jersey. Where's Lebanon, Balo? Oh, you don't even know New Brunswick.
No, I barely know anything. I actually used to work in Union, though. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's basically
I have not.
Strip malls as far as the eye can see.
Okay. Is it very, very Italian? Is it, what would you call it, middle class?
I would say middle to lower. I don't know. It's a dump.
It's where Ray Liotta is from as well. It's you could feel the same vocal quality. Ray Liotta and Artie's voice have the same speech cadence. They hit the same notes. 2018, Lang was sentenced to 4 years of probation in connection with an arrest on May 2000 after New Jersey State Police in Bloomfield reported pulling Lang over on the Garden State Parkway, finding him with 81. What is a deck, Balo? 81 decks of heroin. Deck. 81.
Jeez, that's got to be a lot because that's way out of my vocabulary.
Have you ever heard the term deck?
No, I've heard brick.
Artie loves building decks, right? He loves referencing the for blue collar work as building decks. It's not like he's building.
It might be the same as a brick, which would be I think 50 bags in a brick. So how many decks did it say?
81. 81.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
If it was
that would be thousands.
If it was Howard, it'd be 112.
Nice.
112 decks of heroin, including a bag of heroin in his lap with a straw. Wow. In December 2019, crazy straw. Lang appeared in Newark courtroom where he and his attorney asked a judge to sentence him to drug court, even though he tested positive for cocaine. I wouldn't be arrogant enough to come in here after using cocaine for 2 days. Lang told the judge, "It's in my system and it shouldn't be." I mean, this guy has more chances than Lindsay Lohan. I sometimes wonder if it's you and I don't know. The Jersey laws, wouldn't you think if you had that rap sheet, you would have gone away for 25 years to be caught that many times? It was giving me, I could not follow it after a while.
Yeah.
With the relapse.
Well, there is no justice, Arm. If you have money, you can buy your way out of anything.
He's got great lawyers because I don't know how how much jail time did the Two Masters an Artie expert? How much jail time did he actually do? Lindsay Lohan's the one that he reminds me of the most. I remember that rap. Remember she had like 15. I'm like, is she going to jail? What is going on here?
Yeah.
So, he has the grand announcement today. Does this mean? I mean, you heard nothing from him. He loves to go away and come back, as you said, David. He loves the what again?
Career peekaboo.
The career peekaboo. And as he comes back, which is kind of sad if you think about it. We talked about this last week. All these tertiary people in his life, from Norm Macdonald to Gilbert Gottfried to Bob Saget, which I even forgot to say, to people like Liotta, who's from Union, New Jersey, who kind of knows him, to people like Tony Sirico, to there was another one we brought up. James Caan, who was in Elf with him. So there's it's kind of just like boom, 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 and he still lives. I think it was.
I also think he's like 10 years younger than all those guys too. So I wonder if that's a real sort of, I mean, not to be morbid. I hope he lives forever, but
you forget that. You're absolutely right. He's actually, Norm was older than I thought. I think Norm lied about his age in the 90s, because I swear to Christ, I saw over and over again he was born in 1964 and I bought it. Then when he died, he was born in 1959.
Yeah.
So he was almost 10 years older than Artie, and I had no idea.
I think Norm lied about his age a lot. But yes, he was 61 when he died.
He was 60.
Did you ever hear the man great? You have?
Right. Oh, I love that podcast.
I knew Norm had a cult following, but he's like universally loved. I mean, I didn't realize how worshipped he is. I mean, he had some moments where, do you remember him apologizing on The View? I can't remember what he said. What was it? Homophobic?
He said retarded. He said retarded,
Yes,
and then he
yes,
said Down syndrome.
That disappointed a lot of Norm fans.
But it was
He
originally
Mr. Norm.
for
he was selling something. He was promoting something.
He had his Netflix show, but he was talking about how he put Roseanne in touch with Louis C.K. because I think she had just been canceled for her Twitter.
And he was a writer on the Roseanne show.
And just wanted them to be able to commiserate a little bit. His interview on who's the other Bennington. His interview on Bennington is really good.
Yeah, I like Bennington.
Yeah,
he's good. He's still on Sirius, right? I don't look to.
I'm not sure.
Does he do a radio show? Or does he just do a one-on-one interview show?
I'm not. I've only known him as an interviewer. I don't.
Okay.
If he has another show, I don't know about it.
By the way, if anybody's interested, I think I still have the video up on my channel. I caught Norm lying about something really stupid that doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense in a comedic way or like some kind of weird like clout chasing thing. About I think it had to do with Johnny Carson. It might still be up on my channel if anybody's bored.
Yeah. Okay. Promote what's your channel's name? How do you?
Scott Balow is 44 and waiting to die.
Did you like that show? Did you watch that show on it was on VH1. Remember VH1 had the era of like
My Fair Brady.
Bonaducci. Yes, My Fair Brady and Breaking Bonaducci and all that shit. Did you like that show?
I only watched it a couple times, but it was all right, I guess.
For sacrilegious to say, I think you would hate the real Scott Baio. I think you're complete opposite of him. I think he's. Well, I think you would hate him.
I probably would, but I'll tell you, the movie Zapped is one of my favorites.
Oh, we talked about Zapped on.
I know. I know that blew my mind. I loved it.
For Christ's sake, like Willie Ames and Zapped. Heather Thomas was it was very cliche. She had that pink bikini poster every fucking Generation X teen had in their room, and she was the shit on the Fall Guy. And then she just kind of, I saw her something on. She looked very good. I saw her like 6 months ago. She's just dropped out of show business. Good for her. She doesn't need it. Good for her. I know.
No, Charles, it's me, buddy.
Who, my Grant Goodeve over here? He did the 8 is enough. David helped them write it, so David did the score for it.
Yep.
Everybody's comedians are like the Gunga Din. Welcome, sir. I said Ben Benjamin. They're saying they hate all these comedians' podcasts. It's a big circle jerk. They each do each other's show, and all they do is promote themselves, talk about themselves, and look into the sky. And there's nothing in it for you. They're not interested in entertainment. Just give me your money. Come to my gig. Promote myself. I could care less if you're entertained. That's why they suck, and that's why we need guys like Red Bar.
It's also weird. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I was just going to say, there are a couple that are actually somewhat decent. Sam Tripoli does a couple that are good, but they're like conspiracy theory type shit.
Right.
And who's the other fucking guy? Theo Vaughn.
Oh, okay. He's
he's
like a New Orleans Casey Armstrong, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Pellel, Duncan Truss, Pop. Yeah, people like that Tom Segura guy. People seem to like him. I'm not sure what separates him from other people because he looks that him and Bert Kreischer kind of look this. I don't know why he's elevated compared to other people, but I don't know him that well. I've heard him a few times and stuff.
Watch his podcast. You'll like his podcast. It's a lot like the Stern Show.
I think it's weird that comedians. The reason they annoy me now is because they try to be self-hating and self-deprecating in their act, but they're very self-righteous.
Fake angst, fake angst.
Mm-hmm.
But then they're very self-righteous off the mic being interviewed. And that's a tough thing to... I don't know how you reconcile those two things.
You don't. That's well said, too.
Yeah, they're phonies.
I bet... Hey, Scott, would you consider renaming yourself to Scott Pathos?
Okay.
Right? That's not a bad.
Why not?
I don't know. I think it fits. I think it's apropos.
Well, I could never actually change it because it references my favorite person ever, and that's fucking. Now I'm gonna forget his name. The fucking lie detector guy, Ed Torian.
Oh, Ed Torian, sure. You're being deceptive, dear.
Did you ever call Scott Balo a nigga?
Oh, jeez, I knew it. Why does everybody go to that all the time? I think Casey Armstrong said he found him.
Oh, then God bless him, because
I
he was
think
the best.
He was talking to us about Ed Torian at one point, and I think
love
it was
my
me.
niggas, but where's my bitches?
Arm, if that me or you would be doing jail, yeah, I know. Just take a civilian and take Artie's rap sheet, and how does that go? I gotta be giving him 10 to 15 years, right? You know,
25 to life.
I don't think that. I don't. Is Jersey lenient with it? You would know, Balo.
I don't know. I've
Yeah,
never actually been arrested.
Tone Cod writes, Mad TV alumni are having good careers in Artie. Ryan Callen with the Me Too.
That's right.
And Bobby Lee, some serious issues of his own. Rogan is a he won't acknowledge those Me Too guys, right? The Dalia and Brian Callen both got serious Me Too cancel stuff, and he won't acknowledge they exist anymore. So, welcome, Sunflower Dragon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Always great to see you. Rooster Sideburns already went on to make $1 million a year to work at a gas station because he couldn't kick heroin, and more likely with whatever his mental problem he's trying to medicate. The ironic part about Artie, Rooster, I say this all the time, is his derelictions and his demons and his substances and is his brand. You know, like it or not. I think he's a very quick, very funny, very talented guy in many, many ways. He doesn't need the crutch, but he made that his brand for so long. It's the only thing we think about. There's just no escaping it. And the walk to St. Louis, there's no escaping it anymore. You know, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, is there any way that he can eradicate that as his utter persona?
I mean, I think that he was just so good as a second banana on Howard because the focus isn't on you, and so you can just get off these great one-liners and be more beloved than the host, which is the point, you know. Because the host is supposed to be just an anchor point anyway. And I think he did really well in that kind of role where he doesn't have to run the show. He can just be sort of an ensemble member.
Perfectly said. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. If you remember, and I think this points to what we say when people, I think very depressed people, which Artie is definitely suffers from massive. You don't have to be Jason Seaver with a side office in Smithtown to know that he's, you know, it's written all over him. He looks down all the time, even just body language. He's always, and there's no question about the self-entitled, but when you watch him host a show, whether it's his own podcast or the Nick and Artie show, when he was in the hosting seat, and I don't know if this is just me conjecturing or me just projecting, it looked like he got bored with himself.
Yeah.
In that he doesn't like the patter. He wants the spike. He wants the exclamation point. He wants to score. It's a way better high to do the quip, to tell the joke, to do the impression, than to do the stupid patter where you go to the break and the interstitials and just the mindless intros and stuff. It's Monique has to do that, a lot of that. It's not appreciated. Somebody has to be the bad guy to say stop. Right. Don't do. We can't do this. We can't get to this. We can't. And it's not. And then Artie got to just be the quip guy on Howard, and it's a great spot to be in. It's not an easy spot. You got to have a perfect thing to say, and that goldfish brain who has no point of reference, and Artie was kind of stifled because a lot of his proclivities, Howard's just too fruit baskety for.
Yeah.
You know, and he has to
I also
censor himself.
I also think that when Artie joined the show, Howard tried to, in true poser fashion, like I feel like there were more stories of Howard getting drunk, like he was drinking more and partying,
totally.
And it's almost like he was trying to keep up with Artie.
He was trying to quote The Godfather to him and stuff.
Right,
yeah,
right,
exactly.
Yeah.
Trying to just fake heterosexuality,
right.
with like a testosterone blackface.
Right. You know what's weird though? Whatever that was, it DirecTV or whatever he did after the Stern show. Yeah, he did really well. Show.
Oh, it was when it was him and Nick, and they were grooving. The first 2-3 years was some of the best radio I've ever heard.
No, I'm talking about the TV show that he had that one football player on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was John Ritchie, but that was derived from John Ritchie was a fullback for the Raiders and the Buccaneers, and they brought him in to be a straight man. But initially, the Nick and Artie show was a radio show. Then they moved it to DirecTV, and it kind of morphed. Nick had some weird political. It was a sports show, it was a comedy show, and Nick's just crowbarring politics in, and DirecTV dumped him. And it became Artie, and they would rotate people in, and they'd have weird. It was kind of wonky after that. It never quite found the same groove he and Nick had because it was just one. It was everything was funny.
I
If Nick
remember.
if Nick would stop talking about politics, he'd be back on top. He's hilarious.
He's one of the funniest stand-ups ever, ever,
Yeah.
ever, ever. No matter what political side of the fence you're on. And I'm as left as they come. I'm as left as Steve Carlton or Kenny Anderson. And I think Nick is one of the. I don't give a shit. That guy. I usually like conservatism is comedy death. Not for him. He somehow beat it. He maintains. He is as funny as ever. That motherfucker can do no wrong. He kills at everything he does in every roast.
But I think you're right about Artie just did not take the sort of insincerity of show business seriously. And so I remember on his DirecTV show, he interviewed Dean Martin's daughter, who's also a singer. And it's like, you know, she's not funny. And so he has to do like a sincere interview. And he just sounded uncomfortable, you know, because he can't.
No, I know. It's very
forced,
right. The like a very professional kind of end style questions where you're asked, and he feels he has to. He's almost doing an imitation of an interviewer, and it's not. Right. You're absolutely right. It's a great observation. It never felt like he genuinely wanted to be. He wants to riff with you and chat. He doesn't really want to interview you. He just feels corny, I think, in his mind.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yes. Artie is the Keith Richards of comedy, says Toe Uncut. Not only that, well, that's part of the problem. Much to bring it back to Depp, the idolization of Richards, Artie is a lot of the same people that Depp likes. Hunter S. Thompson, Belushi, and the job is to emulate them to the end. Right? I mean, do you think you ever lose the emulation? All his favorite baseball athletes are, Thurman Munson, and have some kind of tragic debauchery to them. So do you ever use that sense of emulating your heroes?
Yeah, I don't really. I always felt like, in terms of comedy, the only hero I can think of for Artie is maybe like John Belushi. I don't know who else from the past Artie really, and maybe I'm saying that because he was that comparison was drawn so much.
He's far more literate than anybody gave him credit for. On the Stern show, he could never admit to it because it's such a lowbrow audience and a lowbrow staff, right? So he's very, very up on philosophers, and he's a huge Hunter S. Thompson fan, and a lot of those beat guys whose thing is addiction and to sort of own it, to really be kind of knee deep in the addiction game, and to monetize your pathos, which is not an easy thing to do. What's the Thompson quote? When the going get weird, the weird go pro or some shit like that. The crazy go, something about monetizing crazy. I can't. Somebody in the chat probably knows it.
Yeah. But it seems different from Johnny Depp, where his idolatry of Hunter S. Thompson.
Idolatry! Look at this guy. Cuisinart and idolatry.
I have a word of the day calendar.
Idolatry. Do you realize it won't be, as a zillion podcasts out there, there's more podcasts than people. Not only there are more guns than people, there won't be any of those podcasts will use idolatry ever. You realize that?
No.
Or Cuisinart.
Yeah.
Cuisinarty Lang.
But Johnny Depp's idolatry of Hunter S. Thompson seems very sacred. And Artie, I think, is just like, he's entertained by people, and I'm sure he has heroes that influenced him, but it's embarrassing to carry on about your heroes. I think he thinks that it would come off that way.
No, I think you're right. You don't see Artie yapping about his heroes, and you have to kind of bring it up, and you go, "Oh yeah, I do like him. I do love him." Right. You're right. He does not. Depp flies the flag a little more proudly. There's no time where he's not mentioning. I mean, even right down to the earpiece thing was kind of borrowed from Marlon Brando. Right. Depp is everything he does, like to the tilt, and I think that he during the trial a lot of what he is and can be traced back to. I always, if Marlon Brando or Thompson, especially, were watching this trial, what they would do and say. How would he be? How would his guidance? I think he would feel even better. They'd be, on the horn with him all the time to fight back.
Yeah.
And I think he was channeling them when he did fight back. What would, I think, in every situation, what would Hunter S. Thompson do? I do believe he thinks on those terms, which is a crazy game to play. You got to be rich to play it, because you can't be, you and I, and think like Thompson with the compound and all these. It's you have to have money backing you up.
Yeah. Being a bohemian is a very expensive habit to support.
Kylo Sierra Alpha writes, what drug? It is that drug program that is what kept Artie alive. Now that he's out, I fear for him. He will fall off the wagon, and given fentanyl epidemic, he could easily OD and die. That's a very valid concern, Kylo. With that Constitution, I mean, he'll be the last man standing. It's really strange. I don't know where his sister and his mom lie into this during this. I don't know. Does testing continue after this is over, or is he just kind of going, I don't think alcohol is the same game as this other stuff. I don't know. It's a gateway. Do you believe in that gateway drug stuff, Balo? Like alcohol leads to that? I don't. I think it's a way. It's like a Coors Light. Is he gone?
I don't see him in the thing. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Balo.
Okay, sorry about that. I got booted out.
Oh, I didn't say. I'm sorry about that. I didn't say it. Just
no problem.
Hear what I said there.
Yeah, there is a whole thing with that, gateway stuff, but
a Coors Light at a barbecue leads to heroin.
No, you gotta have that misery in you that says this is okay, but I need something better, and then you find it.
Yeah, Hooper brings up a thing. Remember Norm betting Artie in the saga? Artie definitely robbed. So we actually brought that up when we talked to him. There's a I'm getting reverb. Baylor, do you have it on the screen up?
No.
It could be me. I don't know. I'm getting a.
Hold on one sec.
Is there anything? I don't hear anything.
I think you're good.
How about now?
Okay. Oh, I don't think. No, I do hear it.
I hope it's not me.
Just log out and come back.
Okay.
If you would, sir. Thank you. And so that saga, you know that story, David?
Which one?
So Artie introduced Norm to a bookie, and I think Norm won pretty big, and the bookie skipped town or something.
Right. Yes, I do know that.
And that's why those two hadn't spoken in years.
Right.
And nobody really knew. It came out much later. It came out like 3-4 years ago.
That's actually what I was saying earlier, where Artie doesn't really talk about his heroes. Norm is the one person he will bring up voluntarily all the time.
Yeah. Yes, he does. He does. He definitely does. He loves crowbar Norm into every conversation.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of times just embellishing. Everything Norm does is brilliant, and no matter what, you know what I mean? Like, as brilliant and original as he is, people get nuts with him, and they act like everything is so sacrosanct and precious.
Well, and what's so funny is Norm Macdonald fans who are vocal about it are the least funny people in the world, because they just regurgitate his jokes. Like, they're not even, adopting his style per se. They're just, so.
Good call.
Yeah.
Trinity Jean writes, I've always felt so many of Howard's fans had an arrow type, uncle, brother, cousin, blah, 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 that he just touched this very special place for a lot of people. Yeah, Trinity Jean, you're absolutely right. And that's how, never, ever, ever forget, Howard made his fucking bonus at Sirius, because there was legions of Artie fans that followed to go to Sirius. Now imagine he tries to make that transition without Artie. It ain't happening. There's no way he reaches that bonus. No way.
Yeah. And
I think I had this theory the other night. I was thinking about the Chauncey thing.
Yeah.
When Howard, because I just posted on the Patreon for everybody. This is blocked, and that's the reason I'm posting on Patreon. This is blocked. It's a 3-hour Artie suicide saga from 2010. And I have a theory. One of the main reasons Artie was not, Howard refused to bring Artie up, is because he was then embroiled in a lawsuit with Sirius for bonus money, and to bring Artie up is to say that he's the reason I met this bonus.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Interesting.
saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if,
yeah.
if he acknowledges Artie, it's an admission. He's embarrassed because he's not meeting. He can't sue them. He's not meeting a bonus without Artie's transition to Sirius. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? He
Yeah,
doesn't
no, that makes
have that
sense.
clout. There's if you don't have Artie, you have no bonus. And so he would not bring him up because he wants to make it like he did it on his own steam, and we all know it's total bullshit.
I mean, that's so true, and the suicide attempt was so convenient in that way that, again, like I said last time, he can just push the ladder that got him up to that tier off the ledge,
Yep.
and that's
He's also
another example
terrified
of
about
that.
getting sued. So he knows
Right.
he's an enabler. He knows he used those pathos and derelictions and mental illness to make $4,000 a minute.
Right.
And he knows they let him sleep and all. We've gone over this ad nauseum, and he knows he loved him calling in, and he loved to be honest about his addiction, no matter what was a lie. And
Right.
he knows in the back of his mind he enabled him, and that's what really, to bring him up is he knows that's going to be go. It's just much easier just not talk about it, because someone eventually is going to go, motherfucker, you had him sleeping on the air, which Norm Macdonald in fact did years later.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Actually, he got
Totally.
in front of it. Artie was still on the show when he did that.
Oh, that's right. Oh, okay. I thought it was
He
after.
predicted it.
But
He
yeah,
predicted it
that's right.
because they were having all those Howard TVs, just of the camera just sitting on him sleeping, and that's what a huckster does. I mean, that's what what is the term that Martha Stewart used for Howard?
Oh God. I don't know.
God damn! Oh, she is. It's a great clip. I forget what it was. Stutter John calls himself. She worded it so nicely. And by the Marfon Stewart, SEC Chauncey saga is what's on the Patreon, which was blocked, and that's why it's on there. So you could.
Right.
It's David's listened to. It's 5.5 hours of bait and switch and stocks and bonuses and silent partnerships and shit. It's great. And Chauncey just calling him out. Neil Cavuto. I'm really proud of that one, but it's unfortunately blocked on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's on Patreon.
And the passion of Robin and Gary and everybody to circle the wagons and sort of just, regurgitate what Howard says in his defense is I forgot how passionate they were about defending him on the air back then, because I feel like
that's essentially Gary's job description,
right?
Is to jump in every situation and paint Howard as the victim, and he's always right. He is a defense for every. I mean, that's kind of what the wrap-up show became 100%. I mean, initially the wrap-up show was total transparency, and they got off on that. Fans could speak their mind. I mean, tomorrow you'll hear I have a whole gaggle of fans just eviscerating Beth on the right, which you never get away with today, and it was about 12 years ago.
So is the show tomorrow going to be all her sort of lying about getting attacked on the street and the histrionic stories?
Yeah, Beth's histrionic birthday. It's a lot of that. Some of it's just kind of fluffy shit. Her singing the fucking "Close to You" with Howard, and
right.
There's some, but most of it is that. Most of it is her. She's always falling. Someone's attacking her on the street, and it is crazy. David, I'm not even through 1/3 of it, and I gave Monique like 28 clips. I'm not even through 1/3 of it. I don't know. I was so flustered. I must have spent 12 hours in the last 2 days. That's just making the clips. Then I assembled it before that, so I had all the stuff, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going through. I don't know. I sat there frozen because I didn't know where to start, because I'm like, how do you choose between your own kids? It was just one after the next. I mean, going all the way back to when she first reared her ugly cranium in 2001. It's just, it's endless.
And how do her stories, I mean, they're already so ridiculous. So for her to continue coming up with these, it's like, then a lion jumped out and shot me, like, what are you talking about?
The narrative is always, she's obviously always the victim.
Right.
She's so insatiably elite in New York City where one chick is hotter than the next, and every 10 feet, someone's hotter than Scarlett Johansson when you walk. But somehow she walks around on the Upper West Side, and directors are hitting an ejector seat while they're driving and casting her in movies as she's walking Bianca. And guys are hitting on her when she's running in Central Park. There's gaggles of people following her, and she's constant. And there's black kids blowing whistles to Bianca. It's endless. I don't know. As I sit here, I'm shaking in my skin because it's just this one thing after the next. There's almost no moment when she's brought up where she's not the victim.
It's almost like a bad screenplay that like a 7th grader who was recently bullied for the first time would write about themselves. Like, all these people bullied me, but I still succeeded despite them. Kind of.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Artie, and you ever hear that we use this on the Deappening? And I don't know if you heard this. I learned this word during the trial from someone called a fabulist.
Yes, I remember that.
It's a phenomenal word. It's basically someone who tells fantastical, fabulous stories where they're the center of it, and they're the hero, and they're the victim, and everything they do is a story, like Bert Kreischer, and Artie. And so Beth kind of has that, right? So everything is she comes home every day, right? And tells Howard, and Howard's like, well, I'm going to use this on the air. And he used so much of it for material.
And Beth, I think to a degree, has the thing where she wants, I remember, on the first, when Beth promotes, you played the sort of press conference she did with Carson Kressley about their show. And she's talking about how she had weight issues when she moved to New York. Like she'll try to come off as like adorkable, right? Where it's
adorkable,
like, you know,
fake self-deprecation.
Right.
You do not move to New York and claim to try to become a model unless you're looking at yourself in the mirror. In Pittsburgh, which is a fairly big town, I'm too good for this place. I'm too hot for everybody here. I'm going to New York because this town is beneath me. That's what someone thinks when they do it. Even you live in an area that's ground zero for it, LA.
Oh, totally.
LA is filled with every chick or guy who looks at themselves in the mirror and says, I am way too hot for this place. This town. I'm going to LA. I'm going here. And now you have a whole town of that one person.
It's like someone moving away from Austin, Texas, for those same reasons.
Bringing it back to Depp, David. Very nice. So speaking of Depp, let's get to it. Let's go to the 11-minute mark. Balo, are you back in with us
is
here?
Scott in? Oh, there he is.
Balo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
You're echoing again.
You got to be kidding me.
Are you wearing headphones, Scott? Or
I am. Hold on. Let me see if I can change the settings.
Two masticus. Nick DePaulo just wants to yell about black crime statistics.
How about now?
Sounds okay. Okay, you good. You good.
Yeah,
that's good.
No echo.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to stop sharing this. What an interesting Stern chat we just had, which I wasn't really. It's just that's the beauty of this show because it's very random. We're not necessarily bound to a format, although I'm trying to.
We both said Bert Kreischer at the same time, by the way.
Were you were listening?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's my favorite new word, fabulous. So anybody who tells a story where they're like the star of it, they're the hero, they're the victim, and some fantastical thing seems to always happen to them. And people
don't want to admit that they live boring lives.
That's what it is. That's what it is. And when you hear, you start to like lose. Everybody's credibility is damaged from these people because now you're not going to believe anybody. When you hear, oh, okay, well, if he's lying, that means that comedian's lying too. And I know it's comic exaggeration, but there's comic exaggeration that's just completely making something up, which didn't happen to you because we all hung out with that kid who sat around telling stories all the time about how every group of friends had the one kid who sat around telling they were fabulous and they told fantastical stories, how shit happens to them and only them all the time.
How they jumped over the flagpole in Super Mario Brothers.
By the cops. All your stories are video games. Okay, I'm gonna go to the 11. Okay, 11 minutes. Here we go. Ready? And I'm going to lower the volume. So this is Johnny Depp on the Howard Stern Show, October of 2001, promoting the movie From Hell. And it went. This is what supposedly got Artie Lang the job.
Participate.
Yeah.
And I want to say to both of you, you have the green light to stop me whenever you want if you have something to say.
Can I just say, I love
Yes.
the one thing that sometimes Benji's laugh has a 10% effect that Jackie's laugh had on me, because I think Benji knows when Howard's being stupid or Robin's being stupid, and if something goes over Howard's head, Benji will laugh at it in the background, and that sometimes does tickle me a little bit.
The dog, yeah, I know what you're saying. Benji is. I'm not sure he's in the studio here. I have no recollection.
I just heard, if you go back a couple seconds.
Okay, let's go back. I don't think it's him. I think it's someone else. Well, maybe you're right. Let's hear.
Baby, and that was it.
You married now?
No.
No. Well, not officially.
You don't believe in marriage, right?
No, it's not. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I think I'd wait until my daughter was old enough to sort of participate.
Yeah. Walk you down.
Maybe that was David.
I think that's Benji. Yeah.
Maybe that was.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who likes Benji?
I've listened to this interview 1,000 times. That's the first time I'm catching that. And your Golden Girls 30-33 composer years had to catch futuristic years had to catch that. I've literally listened to this 1,000. Are you the only one that likes Benji? I despise Benji for the most part. To me, he embodies the ruination of the show, him having any writing. But I do like some pushback where he tries to be the contrarian, and occasionally it's good entertainment when he pushes back and calls Howard on his fake teeth and Robin fat when no one else will.
Yeah.
But tell me this. A lot of times they'll be asking him questions, and to me it sounds like he's honestly trying to answer seriously, and they'll cut him off saying, stop with the shtick, stop with the shtick, and I do not hear any shtick, and it drives me crazy.
A little of both. I think he does do the and then sometimes he is trying to answer it. Sometimes I can't tell. But the shtick stuff is exhausting trying to figure out when he's I know what you mean, though.
My favorite Benji moment was, I think it might have been Double A's last appearance, where they were sort of hinting at.
That's a weird story. That Double A thing, right? Did they have some like statutory rape?
Well, right, and so Benji left his seat to go up to the mic where Lisa G would talk, or Steve Langford or whatever, and kind of grilled Double A a little bit about. I don't think the allegations had come out yet, but he seemed to Benji was not afraid to go to real places that didn't have anything to do with the show, but that were sort of off mic situations.
He's kind of got his sister having his back a little bit. He's got a lot of weird. He's what, cloistered, is that a word?
He has that Ralph overconfidence. Ralph knows Howard has his back.
You're not right. You're not. You have someone who would seemingly have no leverage. You're not doing that unless your sister's kind of got your back. In the Robin Bronk of the Hillary Clinton, and I think that was largely how they booked Hillary Clinton, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
You're disgraceful.
Can't you see? Gina Bobino, welcome. Artie's Sunflower Dragon. Artie is very intelligent. I wonder at this point how much permanent damage he's done to his brain at this point. Ultimately, his story is a sad one. Yeah, it is. But he's afforded access and support of the normal civilian cannot get. And that's where you got to feel sorry for the guy. Like we say with Depp, imagine the poor dude who doesn't have his resources to fight domestic violence, fraudulent accusations. And Artie has a lot of resources that a civilian doesn't have. But I do feel for him without question.
Down the aisle.
No, your problem is this. You're so friggin' good looking. I don't know a girl who...
Remember poor Kate Moss? She almost did herself in when he left.
Yeah, I mean, no girl has ever tried to kill herself over me. You know that. I can't even get girls...
And here's one of the most beautiful girls in the world.
Yeah.
She can't live without him.
I know you don't want to see anyone kill themselves over you, but you got to feel good on some level when chicks are ready to kill themselves over you.
I would love that.
I mean, God almighty.
How cool was
There's no way you could ever be married because you just have too many opportunities.
And you owe it to the women.
Yeah.
Although I got to tell you, I interviewed Paul McCartney yesterday. And the dude is seriously, he married Linda 30 years, and now Linda dies. He's right back in a serious relationship, getting married again.
Depp had just become friends with McCartney at this point. Depp somehow latches on to every fucking dinosaur rock and roll Hall of Fame at some point. And I don't know if it's the Viper Room or his, you know how these agents hook up stars with each other, but
Right.
he is friends with every effing rock. It's crazy. I don't know where, I don't even know what the connection was, but he's friends with McCartney. He did a thing for, he did a commercial for some charity McCartney was doing. He and Natalie Portman. We did it on. We showed the thing. I forget what it is. It was some weird. It was some weird charity thing that McCartney did.
Right. I wonder sometimes if first of all, I love Howard being like, you know, no woman has killed herself over me except for Dana Plato. But I also think,
God, could you imagine Depp was like this stern historian? He went, "Oh, what you mean? Except Kimberly Drummond, right? Dana Plato."
I also
That's
think
great.
to speak to the Depp getting in touch with dinosaur rockers. Sometimes I think actors really idolize musicians because they come up with lyrics that they feel tells their story, and actors maybe aren't traditionally writers and they're just the mouthpiece for writers, and so they're envious of songwriters being wordsmiths. I wonder about that sometimes.
Well, no, I mean, it's also the cliche that every actor wants to be a musician and every musician
And
wants to
vice
be an
versa,
actor,
yeah,
or a
right.
comedian, or however you want to frame it. Now, Depp's a weird one because his thing is, I started out a musician. Well,
Right.
that's fine, but it didn't work. I mean, you came at a time when they were signing bands left and right. I mean, he's on the Hollywood Strip in the 80s when everybody was getting record deals. Right? That's the time you want to be. You can't really say, you know, maybe it was derivative, maybe they didn't know how to market it. He's jumping around. He left his band. There's a great, I can't remember where I saw it, but I have to find it again. It was one of his ex-bandmates. He was jumping from band to band, and he walked out on this band, and they had to break up. And I think Bruce Whitkin, who you saw during the trial,
Yeah.
and when he got Jumpstreet, they just destroyed, and all these guys kind of went in separate ways, and they destroyed their LA life and stuff because he left the band, and they never really forgave him for it.
Right.
It's a weird. It doesn't come up a lot. He joined a band called. Again, this sounds like a real like a little kid made the name of this, the Rock City Angels. And this band was right in line with, like, remember like LA Guns and Duffy wasn't even born yet. You really literally weren't born. Guns N' Roses, just that whole motley crew, that whole bridge band, late 80s, early 90s rock scene in the Sunset Strip. So his band was kind of punkish, and he was jumping from that band. Something happened, they broke up, and then David Geffen ended up giving Guns N' Roses their record deal.
Okay.
That became Guns N' Roses.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind.
That's
I'll
okay.
think of it. Yeah.
You getting hitched again?
Yeah, I mean, what an amazing guy. Could you ever be satisfied with one woman like that? No. Hello?
Hello, Johnny.
Yeah, I'm here.
Depp was always serial monogamous, as far as I knew, but we didn't know anything because you didn't know the dirt back then. There wasn't a lot of, the gossip was kind of, as the trial came out, it turns out he did cheat with a lot of chicks you just assumed he was on set with. And so they're not really denying it, and they want to be synonymous with him. I'm not saying he's not. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I just want to make an observation. I've noticed since we've been listening to this that Depp is constantly like, "Hello, are you there?" Like,
yeah.
And I wonder, maybe there really are phone connections from France, but I wonder if it's also a way to sort of throw Howard off kilter from getting to shock jockey with him. Definitely.
He's and he's got that Depp charm while he's doing it, so you do buy it. That he's such a, I'm just a caveman, and radio interviews frighten and confuse me. And he's kind of doing that thing, whereas it's a great observation. He's very lucid. It's 3 p.m. in France.
Right, and colloquialisms like he getting hitched, you know.
Yeah, yes, which I hadn't heard in a long time. I hadn't heard the word hitched in, like, I remember hearing that, like, what? Who says that anymore?
He's very, it's very it's very artfully charming. Yeah.
Sarah
Now
writes,
get me another Doers and water. I'll sue you and this whole freaking airline.
I like Doers. Hunter S. Thompson drinks Chivas Regal. Depp goes, when I was touring with Hunter for his book, it was like everything was a big bucket of ice and a bottle of Chivas Regal. Going back to Mad TV, says Tony, first thing, Artie did stand up on the show, basically an introduction to Artie. He joked that he drinks because he's miserable, and that should have been a warning for everybody. Yes, sir. Well said, Tone Cott. The latter reference.
Could you?
I was just pondering it. Yeah, no.
Could you ever be satisfied with one woman like that?
Yeah.
That's not true.
You don't cheat.
I'm no cheater.
You aren't.
No, he tells the broads it's over.
Right.
Oh, you mean when he wants to leave, he just goes.
Yeah, you've even said in terms of marriage, don't stay. If you start having desires to be with another person, don't even fight it. Just go do it, right?
Well, I mean, if you think about it and it starts to rot your brain, I mean, you may as well just go out and hit the streets, so to speak.
What does he do to Vanessa? He takes his own advice.
Right.
He cheated on Vanessa. Don't make no mistake. He cheated on Amber with Rochelle Hathaway. So it's not in him. I mean, he knows, he's what he called Vanessa, the French albatross, if you remember some of his Paul Bettany texts.
Oh, that's right.
So he cheated on the Deptford wives are loath to admit when he has a strange trend, but he cheated twice. And as charming as he is and as weak as we all are, he did cheat. And it's amazing foreshadowing right there as I think about it.
Yeah.
What he says there.
Somehow I think, yeah, I agree. Because otherwise it's just going to get ruined anyway.
Well, yeah, you just got to tell him, something's gone sideways. And, we got to, I'll be back later.
So when you told Kate Moss this, what happened?
What'd she do? Did she just jump out a window or something?
Oh.
That's so great. God, I'd love to be you.
You're the coolest.
You're the coolest guy.
You're a great actor as well as being.
Do you guys remember our Kate Moss reading from the book? I believe it was, oh my God, our friend, was it Johnny Bye-Bye that found us the Kate Moss unauthorized biography?
I don't remember that. I remember you guys showing clips of them on like a British morning talk show, but I don't remember the reading.
Yeah.
How the implication from was that she was not well read enough for him. She basically called her illiterate. She was too stupid for him. She couldn't hang with his counterculture proclivities. And that's kind of what led in. She didn't like his film career was too burgeoning, and it broke it up.
Right.
It just was not a good mix at the time.
That makes me think he's even more of a jerk off then, because who cares? Why do you want to date someone who's yourself? You're
absolutely right. You want to learn. You want to learn from other people. You want to exactly right. You want to, but unfortunately, we're wired where we're looking for commonalities in a carbon copy, a female version of ourselves.
Not me.
We all do that. You don't do that at all. I mean, you're not looking for anyone that has some of the same interests as you.
My girl couldn't be any more different than me, and I'm with her for 13 years. She's the greatest.
Who are you, Paula Abdul over there?
Nice.
Opposites attract.
Exactly.
Balo goes 2 steps forward. He goes 2 steps back. He comes together because opposites attract. I want to see the Descendants cover that. Go ahead. Finish it.
No, that's all I know is
Oh, that thought. We could be lovers. What is that? Scat Cat? The cartoon guy in that? I forget. I bet Paula Abdul is synonymous with Arsenio Hall all those years. And
there's actually a band that covers one of her Straight Up. It's a band called Me First and the Gimme Gimmes.
Really? Oh, I know them.
They're fucking amazing. Yeah.
I'm going to have to listen to that when we get off here. That's a great. I love a good musical cover recommendation. I cannot wait to listen to that.
They are the best cover band in the world.
Sarah turned me on to some band a few days ago. She showed me that I couldn't stop laughing, couldn't stop. It's the funniest thing ever. Some guy named McClintock does a fusing together of bands. So he took Metallica and Huey Lewis, and he made a song, James Hetfield and the News, and he fused together Enter Sandman and Huey Lewis's Hip to Be Square. And it is the funniest.
Wow.
It's meticulous. You cannot tell. I don't know if this guy just thought that Metallica ripped off Huey Lewis's riffs. And Metallica takes themselves so seriously. They're so precious with Napster and shit. It's just funny to see them goofed on like this. And he fuses in Huey Lewis and the dancing, and I cannot tell you how good this is. How fun. I must have watched it 10 times, and I laughed harder each time. It's called James Hetfield and the News. Something McClintock is the guy's name.
Okay.
Hip to Be Sandman is the name of the song.
Cool.
Really good looking.
I never seen the movies in, but it's cool.
It doesn't matter.
Get out of here.
I seen that 21 Jump.
By the way, Robin is a super Depp fan. Robin is a Depp. Robin basically is a Deptford wife. If you could hear it here, every time they talk about Depp on the show, Robin. I just found a clip today of Robin going, "I see every Johnny Depp movie. I don't care. I'll see anything he's in," and she is basically a Deptford wife. Thank you, Sarah.
Is he into fat black chicks with colostomy bags?
She should have been there with the Marianne from Brooklyn who was at the trial.
He said it to Holly Robinson on Jump. She goes, get to me in about 25 years and you gain 25 pounds. Then we can talk.
What do you do? Does she just jump out a window or something?
Oh,
that's so great. God, I'd love to be you.
You're the coolest.
You're the coolest guy.
You're a great actor as well as being really good looking.
I never seen the movies in, but he's cool.
It doesn't matter.
Get out of here.
I seen that 21 Jump Street. It's the last I seen him.
He hates that. Will you stop?
What, 21 Jump Street you hate?
No, I said I saw that.
I love that.
Johnny hates it.
You hate that, Johnny?
Well, I actually, to be honest with you, I only saw about 3 episodes.
I got to tell you, man. Yeah.
Howard's about to give him the big gushing here. This is what his true thoughts are. Robin knew Depp well enough, even back then, that he kind of hated. He used to call it 21 Jump Street. He wouldn't say the name of the show. He would call it That Show. He wouldn't say that. He hated it so much. If you guys ever watch, and David, I know you worked on the musical score on Jump Street, but I don't know if you ever watched.
I was too busy working.
You and Peter Bernstein. That was the actual guy on the show.
Oh, okay.
If you get to watch it, I want you guys, anyone in the chat, when we do a 21 Jump Street, we finally do the review of it from 1 to 4. He goes 4 seasons, and you can watch his apathy kick in by about season 3. Is 1 foot out the door. The eye rolls start to increase. He starts to just, he's just mailing it in. You talk about sleepwalking through it. You could just see him just not want to be there, and he's got the film offers, and once that kicked in. He liked the first 2 seasons, and you could see he just became. There's a Brian Gumbel interview he did with DeLuise where Brian Gumbel actually says to him, he's like, Johnny, let's just you're too good for the show, right? It's beneath you. It's Gumbel actually says to him, the show's beneath you, and Depp goes, well, I wouldn't say it's beneath. He actually agreed with him. Depp almost agreed with him. He's like, no, well, I wouldn't say it's beneath me.
Did Michael J. Fox leave Family Ties before Back to the Future? Were they?
I think he made it to the end. I don't remember that show without.
He did.
Alex speaking.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, I actually tried watching the last episode of some couple of years ago, and it is the strangest episode ever. It's very depressing and so super serious. I couldn't finish it.
You talk about the finale?
Yeah.
I don't remember it anymore. What was the last year? Was it 1990? Was the last year 1991?
I think it was on for 7 seasons. That's all I know for sure.
I'm looking it up. Was it the one where Tom Hanks guest starred as the alcoholic
Uncle Ned? Yes, that's
nice.
That's the most memorable one, but it wasn't the last. Uncle Ned. I'll never look at Vanilla Extract the same anymore. You remember when he was on the binge and he ran out of alcohol? He was like, "I'll take the Vanilla Extract."
He pushed
No,
Michael
he
onto the
slaps him.
ground.
I think he backhands him, right? And then
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox has got the bowl cut swoop goes over his face, and he looks in horror at his Uncle Ned who backhanded him.
Yeah, with those Puss in Boots eyes. Yeah, right. Like teared up.
Dude, the best character on that show is definitely Nick. I'll give you the best episode is where he's sitting at the table having dinner with the Keatons, and he goes, "This, I came here for a dinner, but this feels like a test. I'm not sophisticated. I'm not no Charles Bronson."
Christ's sake, Balo's pulling Scott Valentine out on me, huh? Oh, my Scott Valentine over here.
I believe it's Valentine. Gotcha.
God damn it. I got to say, on that show, I was a sucker for. I thought Michael Gross was brilliant as Mr. Keaton. I thought he's everybody's liberal father you want. His subtle sarcasm. I thought he was brilliant on that show.
Yeah.
When they had that party, they went. The Keatons went away for the weekend, and they rented the house out for a college football game, and they walk in on the fraternity, and the line is, it goes, "There was a kangaroo in my living room." they kidnapped a mascot or something. I thought Michael Gross was unbelievably brilliant on that show. Yeah. That's just me.
That was the best family show ever. I started watching The Seavers again. What the fuck?
Yeah, Growing Pains is good.
Yeah, Growing Pains.
Really good.
The first, I think 2 seasons are amazing, and I think at the 3rd one it becomes shit.
Leo joins the cast.
That's right. That's right. Leonardo
It's
DiCaprio.
where she gets pregnant again. That's where it starts.
Oh, they
to
have
fall.
the daughter. Yeah, the 4th daughter. Yeah.
Yeah. Awful.
I don't even remember that. I don't. What was the last year of Growing Pains?
Like 92.
92. Okay, maybe I might have missed the last season. They probably went. They were set in Long Island too, Smithtown.
They had like Maggie Seaver had a baby like season 6, and she was like 7 years old by season 7. Like she grew up way too fast.
Well, that's what the Sopranos. They'd go away for like 2 years, and then AJ and Meadow would come back, and they're like, they went from 7th grade to 11th grade. Like, what's going? That was the problem with that show, is that David Chase was such a tortured genius, and he would stay away for 2 years and try to, and it was the kids just aged so fast.
By the way, last time we were talking about like Marlon Brando filming stuff for Superman 1 and 2 simultaneously.
Yep.
And I thought of, was there a thing on The Sopranos where Nancy Marchand was like computer generated in after she died on that show?
I know a lot about that show. That sounds familiar. I don't know if anyone in the chat's familiar with it. I don't know, because she died and they needed to fill in her storyline. I don't know.
I have this vague memory in the annals of all the pop culture I've looked at that something like that happened, but yeah.
So you're getting people back, and you have Rooster Sideburbs and Katie Aldana both noticed Benji's laugh as well. I always enjoyed Benji's
it
laugh,
tickles
even though
me.
I found him annoying most of the time. Yep. That was a great pickup by you. I can't believe I could listen to this thing 1,000 times and not hear.
Always find new stuff.
I don't know if word ever gets back to you over there in France. I love you, man. I love your movies. I saw you saw his new movie.
Yeah, you guys were all there the other day.
We went to see From Hell. We loved it.
Oh, good. You guys saw it?
Loved it. Beautiful.
Thank you, Affy. Affy reminds us, who was it? Doug Goodstein that coined the phrase "shtick coma." Is what Benji goes into all the time. The shtick coma. He would go out on the street once in a while and do kind of. I remember I did like when he did the Scream Fest. Was it for violence?
Right.
When he went up on the stage and screamed about how he hated violence. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. I always felt like
Bela, what are you playing? Sega Dreamcast over there? I'm gonna have to mute you. What are you pounding on?
I'm sorry, I'm making cigarettes. I'll mute myself.
You're rolling Depp's brown cigarettes for him?
Yeah.
That sounds like a brown cigarette. That pitch.
I always felt when other staffers used the word shtick, they were trying to kiss up to Howard, like, because that's such a Howard word.
It's very Yiddish, right? It's very Long
It's
Island
them trying to like get in with him, and
that's exactly right. Yeah. That's Howard vernacular. Absolutely right. Yeah. That's Long Island Jewish nomenclature.
Right.
Beautiful movie. It's tough. I mean, it's it's Jack the Ripper. I love
all Jack the Ripper stuff. I'm
It's
really
great.
into him.
Johnny plays a detective who,
And Gunga Din is right here too. Benji's just too fake. He just did stuff
Yeah.
to get attention, and I hate people who do stuff to get attention. I agree with Gunga Din.
figures out what's going on with Jack the Ripper and who's doing this thing.
Lately, he's been in a period detective mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Sleepy Hollow to this.
Yeah, this is the bleak period.
Yeah.
And every freak.
Now, you see, this is my contention that he does not need to do Sherlock Holmes if Robert Downey Jr. wants to resuscitate him and bring him on that production. It's redundant. I don't think that does him any good.
Yeah.
It's see what they're saying here. It's exactly the same movie.
Broad-eye me goes, oh, Johnny's so great. Johnny's choices in film are so... And I go, you know what? That's all right. He's taking work.
No, he's not. He turns down work.
What have you... Do you turn down, like, really good, like, commercial big movies on purpose?
Well, I mean, there's been a couple of just sort of come through and...
Sarah, real quick. By the way, I can name all the things he turned down. There's a huge bomb dropped here, by the way. This is easily the best Depp interview. This is what Howard's still on his game.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff going. The interview was only 30 odd minutes, but there's so much that had never been. He'd been interviewed a lot in fucking Rolling Stone and Playboy. He had been on Charlie Rose and stuff. And a lot of Howard got stuff out of him that had never been said before. And I know them all. And again, this is Howard completely on his game. You got Artie there. This is a great time in the show. Yeah. Sarah, we want to know if what did you think of David's brilliant theme song for Golden Girls 3033? Because you are a Golden Girl-ophile. So I don't know if you heard it, but I'm going to play it at the end of this show because I think it bears repeating. It was that good. It's a futuristic Golden Girls animated series. What the world's been waiting for. It's
we need more sitcom bumper music on this podcast.
Gina Bobina, yeah, not sure why Benji smelled, but this guy stank of mildew. I like that Gina knows that. But it's Canadian mildew.
It just, they just didn't seem like the right thing, That
Like what?
Deep was tainted somehow.
Like, what's the biggest movie you ever turned down because you thought it was just...
Here we go.
Well, it would be unfair of me to say
no,
what I turned. But I'll put it this way. I read about. I labored through about 15 pages of Titanic.
It's a horrible movie.
And I was sweating and it was horrible. I mean, I couldn't get through it.
So you knew it was horrible, but you probably see yourself, hey, he's a great director. I know this is going to be big. I don't care.
I'm not going to do it.
You knew it was going to. I mean, I knew that Titanic would be massive.
But then you wind up in the astronaut's wife.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Good counter, Rob. Did you guys know that Depp turned down Titanic?
I only from the first time you guys covered this interview, but not before. Yeah.
Hollywood is very reticent about actors revealing what they turned down because it makes it look like I'm too good for that thing or it's insulting to the production. Just bottom line is you don't have time for maybe something else came along. Your mind was in a different place at that time. Depp's actually 10 years older than DiCaprio. So it's interesting that they were willing to cast someone 10 years. What was that Jack role supposed to even be on paper?
Right, that's a good question. I've seen that movie once, and
I hated it.
I hate it. It's awful.
So overrated.
But I that's a very good question because I don't know if Jack is supposed to be like a paper, like a newsie, or is he supposed to be a little more seasoned?
You were a newsie.
Yeah.
He had like Ralph Lauren suspenders on. I was remember he had like Christian Leitner's hairdo. I'm like, really? That's 1912? Whatever that's.
Yeah, he has the Matt Damon Goodwill Hunting.
Yeah. I will say Kate Winslet has had a fantastic career.
Agreed. Yeah.
There's very few chinks in her armor. Apparently she has a great streaming series, which I have not seen. I guess it's set in Pennsylvania.
Mayor of Easttown or something.
Somebody, is that what it is?
I think that's what
Mayor
it's
called. Somebody in the chat, I don't know if it's Katie It was a female. I don't know if it's Katie Aldana or Sunflower Dragon or Tiger Lily or some. I think it's Tiger Lily actually, who said that's really good. And I've been it's one of those things you got to write it. You got to have like a dry erase board on your fridge and write down all the shows that you mean to watch because it just
I
comes in
know.
one ear
It's so
and
many.
out, and everyone recommends shit to you all the time. But she's had a brilliant. There's no rom com in her past. She chooses. She does a great American accent. You know, you
She
can't
does,
even
yeah.
tell. She doesn't have a lot of stinkers.
She
Go through her filmography.
her American accent. She was in a movie called Little Children with Patrick Wilson, and she plays like an American suburban housewife, and it's you'd believe it. I bought it completely.
Did you see Finding Neverland with Depp?
Oh, that's right. I was going to ask, like, did they do a movie? And yes, I have seen it.
Which is a Weinstein. That's how Depp forged a relationship with the Weinstein. So it's a Miramax movie.
Yeah,
and it's
I remember
very,
seeing
very,
that in
very
theaters.
Oscar pandering. Very like all the whole Oscar formula.
Yeah, right.
The J.M. Barrie story.
And she's like sickly, like she's dying of consumption or something.
Yes.
I forget. Yeah.
Very solid movie, not for everybody.
Yeah, it's okay.
Not for everybody, but it like I said, it's pandered to the Oscar, which Miramax knows how to do better than anybody does.
Right.
And go ahead, man.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I always forget about From Hell. I should put that up with Blow and Sleepy Hollow because that was quite.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, quite good.
Do you see the picture in the? I don't know if you're looking at the screen. Those are the Hughes brothers, are the directors.
Mm-hmm.
And that's him playing Fred Aberline. It was a Alan Moore, who was a great comic book writer. It was a graphic novel, which I never read initially. And those two, they did most of the movies they did were like, dead presidents, and they were doing like black movies, like just gangster movies. And this is the first time they kind of branched out into, which is a very interesting segue for them.
Did you ever read Gotham by Gaslight, the Batman book?
I have not read it. It's also an animated movie, if I'm not mistaken. They converted it.
Yeah, the book's way better.
What's the premise of that? Why?
It's Batman during the time of Jack the Ripper. It's so fucking good.
Okay.
By far my favorite one.
Is he Batman being Batman, or is it a different version of?
Yeah, it's a different version. It's like as if he was in that time, and he doesn't have all his. He has gadgets, but not the same ones and shit.
Okay, everybody recommends that to me all the time. I think it was Pell told me to watch. I still haven't seen. Now I'm gonna get lazy and probably watch the animated movie before I read the graphic novel.
As long as you read the graphic novel at some point, I mean, it's definitely worth watching. But I just think the book's better.
My favorite Batman story is Nightfall, when Bane breaks.
I don't know
his back.
that one.
It's a huge when Gotham. There's a huge Arkham Asylum outbreak, and Batman's exhausted, and he has to round up all the villains, and then eventually Bane did it, so he wore him down, and at the end he breaks his back. Then he has to come back. The Nolan movie is loosely based on that. The third Dark Knight Rises is loosely based on it, and Nightwing takes over for him, and Azrael takes over for him. So that I need to be an animated movie in the worst way, like a 2-part kind of. That's my favorite Batman story. Cool. That's just me.
Yeah.
It's Bane, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much the beginning of Bane and the Venom and stuff. I just want to say with Robin, they talking about Depp turning stuff down. So it was pretty much Depp lore that he had turned down. God, there's so many things. Point Break. So basically anything Keanu Reeves did. So, and I had heard it was either he got offered the Swayze role and the Keanu Reeves role in Point Break. And Dracula, and Interview with a Vampire, and Speed, and I mean, there's just a list of Legends of the Fall, Thelma and Louise, anything Brad Pitt or Keanu Reeves did during that time. He essentially got offered it first.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if Gus Van Sant was trying to poach him for
My Own Private Idaho?
Yeah.
That's a great. Well, did you know that River Phoenix, one of the conspiracy theories, River Phoenix was up for What's Eating Gilbert Grape before Depp got it.
Oh, interesting.
And they're accusing him of the Viper Room thing with John Frusciante and the speedball that killed River Phoenix. That it's so stupid that he wanted the Gilbert Grape role so bad that he facilitated a speedball for River Phoenix.
That's a Murder, She Wrote plot. That's ridiculous.
I believe in every conspiracy theory, and even I think that's ridiculous.
Of course it is. I'm sorry, the star of Murder, She Wrote again is
Angela
Lansbury.
Yeah.
Depp based his Ichabod Crane on Angela Lansbury.
Did he really?
Yes,
That's
swear to God.
hilarious.
So he's just gonna play it like a foppish kind of,
English
constable.
musical.
Exactly. So he based
star.
it on her. River Phoenix was also up for shit. God damn it. Oh God, I just saw this. Oh, it'll come to me. Something Depp did. I said Gilbert Grape. Crap.
Benny and June.
No, damn it. It was earlier than it'll come to me. Let me get back to this.
Hey, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
It'd be cool if Johnny Depp had Revenge of the Nerds. You know what I mean?
Nice reference, Howard.
Yeah, I'm
But
open
you
to
see,
anything.
I watch every Johnny Depp film. I've seen the good ones and the bad ones.
Well, you haven't seen the new one?
I haven't seen the new one yet.
It's great. From Hell. It opens today at movie theaters everywhere, and I got to say, it's we had an incredible experience watching it. It's really good. It's shot well. I mean, it kind of looks like a Tim Burton film, actually.
They really did a great job. The Hughes brothers really kicked it in the ass.
And Heather Graham looks good, too. That's the one part of the movie that mystified me. All the whores.
Yeah.
There's 5.
By the way, how closely did you guys follow? We talked about Weinstein before. How close did you guys follow the Weinstein stuff?
I didn't at all.
Not really. I mean, whoever came out against him, but I didn't get details.
So one of my favorite things about the Weinstein thing is the broads who were blacklisted from Hollywood. And it's basically a who's who of everybody who was hot in the 90s and into the early 2000s. So your Uma Thurmans, your Heather Grahams, your Rose McGowans, it's all those chicks who you so now, like when you cut to like post 2010, you're like, what happened to da-da-da? What happened to Uma? And there's a list, there's a collage of all these Weinstein women that he had blacklisted, and they're all in that Heather Grahamish kind of genre.
I saw Sean Young had a Weinstein story where he exposed himself in front of her.
That's a Monique confidant.
Yes, that's right.
That you guys hear that story about Grillo told about he sublet his apartment to Sean Young, and she redecorated the whole thing. He came back and she threw the furniture out and put her own shit in, just put pictures of completely, almost like right out of a ridiculous sitcom. She did a Sean I for the Grillo guy, and she
dressed as Catwoman.
She did a dress as Catwoman.
I am completely dumbfounded.
I absolutely love that story. I feel sorry for Grillo, and I think he stopped I don't think Monique. I think she went to a couple Oscar wine parties with her and stuff. I don't know if they speak anymore, but I'm obsessed with
her interview on Howard is great.
She's a loose cannon, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, she's really interesting to me because I just don't get what motivates her behavior. And I find it kind of interesting.
I guess nobody told her no except Tim Burton that she can't get. She was really, really a hot piece of ass in her time in the 90s. And you can see she's got that sexy, sultry thing. And I would have cast her. I think she's a better Catwoman than Michelle Pfeiffer is.
Yeah.
As a bat expert, I absolutely think she'd be a great Catwoman. I don't blame her for trying. JJ Thrash writes, Scott Baio is MC Scat Cat. That's right. That's the cartoon character in the Paul Abdul video.
Who was in the movie? Heather Graham being one of them. The other 4 have no teeth. They all look about 45 years old.
They're all ancient.
Heather Graham's the hottest whore, and none of the guys are banging her.
Thank you to Master. Before I forget to thank you, Bill McClintock is the channel I was talking about with the mashups. Hey, that's a great channel, Arm. I love his mashups with Black Sabbath and the Temptation. So it's stuff like that. It's like two opposing, sort of oxymoronic, contrasting artists that would never work together. And it's so brilliant. I don't know which one's better than the next. It's so good. The first one I recommend listening to is James Hetfield in the News. Hip to be Sandman.
I think one of the funniest.
She can't get work.
Yeah, she can't get laid. But it's cool. I didn't.
He's talking about American Psycho with Christian Bale.
All
Patrick
right.
Bateman is a fan of Huey Lewis in the News and Phil Collins. That's a great scene, Tone Cott. You're right.
Know any of that stuff about Jack the Ripper. I didn't know anything about like who was behind it.
Nitro's gal 2 said she'd drink Johnny Depp's bathwater. Huh.
Jesus.
I think Nitro's gal 1 would drink Richard Grieco's bathwater. I drink it too. It's a lot of antioxidants in that Nitro's gal.
Who Jack the Ripper was. I mean, is that all true?
No, it's one of the theories.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Because nobody does know he was never caught.
Right.
Afi writes, I can see Depp and Robin doing ayahuasca together. Very nice.
Yeah, and your acting was real good.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, real good, man.
English.
Gina Bobina is so cute. She refuses to curse in the chat. She writes, her "fack me" tone Robin has on. Yes.
Johnny's.
Gina would fit right in, by the way, in the terrestrial age of Howard, where he had to dance around the censors and F you and a-hole. She'd perfect writer for that era, to dance around the censors with her own.
You know what was interesting? So this was super parenthetical, but I remember during the AJ Stuttering John fight, there was like a brief time at K-Rock from like 2001 to 2 maybe where they could say asshole on the air, and then that went away. They had to say, like, they couldn't say it before, but then they could say it after.
I'm sorry, did you use parenthetical and idolatry on the same
I did.
You're absolutely right. There was a time where the censors almost loosened up and it rolled back. I remember that.
I wonder if it was with the I mean, the fake sort of they're censoring me stuff that we hear in the SEC saga.
Well, he used the fake battle with the FCC to go to serious.
Right.
You know, it was everything was an infomercial. I can't say the things you want to say. I had no interest in anyway. It's the lowest brow of the lowest common denominator of fan that would even care about whatever you're saying. The stuff he was complaining about, I remember with Chiasano, I didn't give a shit about him. I'm like, good. I'm glad you couldn't say that. I could care less.
Well, right. And
we
also
invented anal and oral.
I know. Oh, you can't talk about anal. What? And you're not gay.
But and he was also like, he was terrified when I remember the interview, I think during the K-Rock time, Roseanne was on and Tom Arnold called in and they were just fighting on the phone.
Yes.
And they wouldn't stop cursing and Howard like couldn't control it, or when
you could only hit the delay button so much.
Right. And he's terrified of that stuff. He knows the rules of radio. He's not sort of, you know, this rebellious
well, also too, he doesn't have the consequence. He didn't pay those fines. He made you think he was paying those fines out of his. We found out later it was the company that paid every goddamn fine for it.
Right.
Because he was that valuable to them. They weren't gonna. He would have you believe he spent his own marbles out of it. Not a chance.
Yeah.
Not one dime.
I don't think he's ever paid for anything.
He doesn't pay for bottled water apparently in the green room, according to Jack Silver, the former program director.
And I think that's why he hates Ben Stern, because Ben paid for everything up until the point that he needed, in Howard's view, he needed an assist from Don Buchwald and Mel Karmazin. And so therefore Ben's kindness is met with, vitriol, because why couldn't you also be Mel Karmazin and Don Buchwald to me? If you
Those
can't be a full
did
person,
everything they could possibly do within their. I mean, this guy's coming home from. I mean, he's lying about his commute. I mean, he lived in Rockville. So he'd come home at 7 and do puppet shows with him. I mean, it's just insane. Yeah. No parent of that generation was hands-on, or a helicopter parent like Ray Stern was.
Right.
Nitro's
and yet no good deed goes unpunished with that.
Of course not. So, well, he's a king baby brat.
Right,
There's nothing he can do. He can't. And the perpetual victim, always the professional martyr. Depp
I can't imagine. I'm sorry. I can't imagine ever speaking about my mother the way he does about his.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Even if it's a joke.
Well, he can hide under the auspices of fake comedy when he does, and then he knows she's not listening, and he knows the rubes in his audience. Unfortunately, a large percentage of them still buy that parental abuse crap because he called me a moron. You're lucky. You deserved way more than that in that setting.
Yeah.
Who wasn't had their balls broken by their parents, especially their dad? If that's the worst, that's the worst he's got. It's literally the worst thing he's got.
Well, and the first time he played those tapes on the show, it was almost like, oh, this was like such a fun discovery to find these old tapes. And there was none of this. He was laughing at it too. I mean, it was only later after the therapy stuff that I think he changed his tune on it, that this is the source of all of his misery in life, you know?
Yep. Nitro's Gal writes, Depp did anything he could do to get fired from 21 Jump Street. It was a cash cow for them. He hated it. Yes, he hated it, but at the same time, it put him on the map. He started the Fox network. It gave him experience in front of the camera to learn to hit his marks and to hit certain attitudes. And again, it's not his fault. I mean, it is a show where I have always said it should have been like what Law and Order is. You can do anything with that show. Unfortunately, they tried to pander to the teen sect, and you take an undercover cop show, you can go forever with that. You shouldn't have to limit yourself when you pigeonhole yourself into going into high schools. When that's the 90210 basically drafted onto Jump Street right after it, but that they're their own worst because they could have. And if you're an actor, it's a great thing, or it should be that you get to play one episode you're a preppy, the next episode you're a jock, the next episode you're a burnout, the next episode you're just an eccentric crazy guy. That's a great show for someone to get their acting chops together for 4 seasons. And again, his problem with the show, Depp's problem with the show, and this doesn't come out a lot, Stephen Williams said, who we're going to have on our show at some point, he said that Depp wanted to go full undercover. Like he wanted to unrecognizably undercover, and the show's like, no. You're a Tiger Beat guy. You can't not be Johnny Depp. We want you to look, the typical posters you would say. You have to look like Johnny Depp, at least to the girls who think they have a shot at you. We don't want you going too deep undercover because you have to look like yourself. And he's like, well, I'm undercover. I should be able to, do whatever I want. Well, recognize I'll put on, you want wigs and masks and stuff. And he said, no, they wouldn't let him. So that was his big point of contention with the show, but he wanted out anyway. He didn't want to say, he wasn't the first choice. He was, and he wasn't. He turned the show down, and then they went with a guy named Jeff Yagher. They shot a full pilot. It was a 2-hour pilot. They disliked it so much, and they disliked this guy Yagher in the lead. They brought Depp back in after something had fallen through. Something Depp was up for. It was a botched audition. They brought him back. They recast him. They reshot the pilot again with him in the lead. And off they went. James Brolin actually went against him for the Hanson role and didn't get it.
Oh, wow.
Thanos. So
to be fair, I think they did a pretty damn good job with that show for the time. Because if you think about like a serious drama, that didn't come along until 24.
That's exactly right. And they took on a gaggle of teen issues that nobody had the balls to touch. It was very, very edgy TV for the time. And on Fox, they got away with as much as the censors would let them get away with. If you go watch it, you're like, wow, they're just dropping the N-word, there's tons of racial themes. And sometimes it could get corny and there's some bad writing here and there, but there's some really, really good, noble attempts. And it was completely groundbreaking, unique television for the time. And, I understand getting jaded by it, but you got a whole production. Some of those people didn't have major motion picture offers coming at them, and they needed that job. So when your lead actor's trying to sabotage the show, I don't know I don't know if we know all the stories, the animosity, but he seems to be pretty. I mean, I know Dustin Gwen loves him, and Holly Robinson loves him, and again, at the same time, there's no show without him. You're not even getting to these other seasons without his star power. I mean, it was the first top 20 show, non-ABC, CBS, NBC.
Right.
which was it launched the Fox network. It's crazy. Think about it, right? The
Yeah.
NFL, Fox News, all this shit that came after it. The Simpsons. I mean, they just lit the way. It's the first show on the net. It's crazy when you think about the distinction.
Yeah.
No, it's one of the theories.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Because nobody does know he was never caught.
Right.
And your acting was real good.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, real good, man.
English.
Did you guys see the Jumpstreet movie?
Yeah, I did.
As Nitro's government, I was so impressed with it. I couldn't believe how good it was.
It was great. Yeah.
They fused together comedy and they kept it in the continuity. And then he and DeLuise in the cameo at the end. I couldn't believe Channing Tatum could do comedy like that.
Yeah. That's the way to do a reboot.
Yep.
I assumed it was going to be crap, so I didn't bother.
Everybody did. It made a lot of money too. It did really well. It's the second one was good too. The second one was really good.
You know, Johnny's a real down-to-earth guy because when, our band played his club once, and he was there loading in the equipment, helping us move the stuff.
That's all an act.
That's eccentric.
Yeah, that's eccentric. Believe me.
Paris.
I'm trying to figure out, what do you guys ballpark the year John's talking about he played the Viper Room with his band? So you think it's 96?
His album, I remember the clips revolving around his album were like 94.
Right. The Viper Room's open. Viper Room started in late 93, October of 93. Could have been 94. Right? That's the height of John's.
It's right after River Phoenix dying. And
that's a good call by you, David. 90. I wasn't going to go as early as that, but you might be right. Because when else would you have gotten booked?
Right. And I didn't hear anything about John's music until after that year. Like any clip that I would find on, Dick Justice or Todd Packer's channel, all of them were
good
from,
call,
like,
Dick Justice. That's a great poll by you.
That was a great
Dick Justice is
channel.
Legendary YouTube Stern uploader, one of the best. And Todd Packer is the GOAT. I mean, that guy,
Unbelievable.
I'm sure you have all his Mark Harris compilations.
Oh yeah. They're on the
saved?
Internet Archive somewhere. I do, yeah.
Oh, good. Because I was.
He loaded in all my equipment and he gave me 3 Coors Lights.
I'm trying to, but the guy who booked him is Sal Jenco, who played Blowfish on 21 Jump. She was Depp's friend from Miramar, Florida. He ended up co-managing the Viper Room, and he stole a bunch of money from Depp, and they are on the outs right now. I can't believe there's no repairing that thing. He runs a event planning company called Living the Dream. Go look him up. Sal Jenco, who played Blowfish on Jumpstreet. And if you watch, he's on Instagram and Twitter. He tweets about nothing but sports. It's always Dodgers, Lakers, over and over again. And he not a stitch of a mention of Depp during that whole trial. Crazy. I can't. I mean, it's sad. They were best friends all through fucking single digit Florida. Probably like 11 years old on.
That's always amazing when you share, like you share the screen with someone who's destined to be a billionaire movie star, and then you end up running an event planning company.
But he brought him to Canada with him, David.
Right.
He brought Sal Jenco to Canada, and he forced him to create a role as a custodian, Sal Banducci, Blowfish, on the show. And then from that point on, Depp was a ride or die kind of biche.
Yeah.
He was in it. Did you see Donnie Brasco?
A long time ago. I need to watch it again.
He's the bartender. He's the opening bartender in Brasco when Lefty first meets Donnie.
Okay.
He gives him the eye contact and stuff. It's the opening scene in the social club.
That's a good friend.
No, it's a great friend. Yeah, it is. And then they would been through everything, and he just that guy Josh Richmond, who played Ronnie Seaback on Jumpstreet, said that there was Jenco had all these weird things he was into, and he owed a lot of money, and he was dipping into that. And I think Depp had so much going on that he was probably oblivious to the books at the Viper Room, as you would imagine.
Yeah.
And they caught him, and they're done. They are done. You didn't patch it up by now. You ain't no coming back once you turn 60.
Right.
It's one of the theories.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Because nobody does know he was never caught.
Right.
And your acting was real good.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, real good.
Crock of Gold, Nitro's gal too. I have to watch that. That's the Shane McGowan. Still haven't seen it. I think it's Pell-El. I think Balo, you recommended it to me. I still haven't seen it. I have it written down on my dry erase board. I promise.
Man.
English.
You know how Johnny's a real down-to-earth guy, because when, you know, our band played his club once, and he was like there, like loading in the equipment, you know, helping us move the stuff.
That's all an act.
That's eccentric.
Yeah, that's eccentric. Believe me.
I did that just so you'd say that.
What a life you're having, though. I mean, when I think about it, terrorism has got to frighten the hell out of you, because not only are you good looking, you get the best looking broads.
Artie, I don't know if you caught Artie in the background. He's like, yeah, all down to earth guys move to Paris. He's all down to earth. The phone call.
You got a great career.
By the way, I was trying to call in like frantic. I couldn't get through.
All right.
I was going crazy that morning. Rita.
Make you crazy.
Pat O'Brien called in. You're absolutely right.
You want your life to go on.
Dream life.
Oh, look at this Nitros gal with the Depp dirt. Yeah, Leo DiCaprio on the Gilbert Grape set. The story goes that he kept, like, you know, 17, 18-year-old DiCaprio kept trying to smoke in behind his mom's back, and he would ask Depp for cigarettes and chase him around, and Depp just kept blowing him off. That's right from the set of Gilbert Grape. Good stuff, Nitros gal.
He was the one we were getting on his case not too long ago.
For what?
Because I remember a quote, something like, you know, he goes to Hollywood and right away they're offering him movies. You know, when he got off the plane from Paris, they don't even...
Tone Cod has your back. Not only did Kate Winslet nail an American accent in Mayor of Easttown, she also nails the Philly I guess that's Delaware... what's the CO stand for? Philly. I know exactly what it is. Philly and Delaware have a similar accent, and she nails that as well. JD said if he was made to watch one of his own movies, it would be The Libertine. Really? I thought I was kind of bored with it. I'm tired of period pieces. Nitro's gal. Libertine's not one of my favorite. I had not seen it in a long time. I'm not really planning. Apparently, Weinstein wanted to remake it or something. It's not my favorite movie.
even let him breathe. Immediately they're saying, Johnny, we want you to do this. Johnny,
that's horrible.
Oh, yeah.
And that was tough. That's why he had to leave.
Robin's got a good point. I mean, Depp's career is a bit charmed. I mean, when he goes to Hollywood, the first movie you do is essentially the best horror movie in the history of horror. And you're playing the lead in Glenn Lance in Nightmare on Elm Street 1. I mean, he deserves it. You know, I mean, if it's going to go to someone, have it go to him. But he had a pretty, I mean, there was a couple of lean years in there. He did, you know, Private Resort, and he had Platoon, which is a great story in itself. Platoon's the greatest war movie of all time, and he's in that as well.
Right.
Even though it's a bit party, but tremendous. And a couple of lean years, but he knew what was coming. And then the story with Jennifer Grey, where Tracey Jacobs was representing Jennifer Grey first, and she eventually started to just like put Depp on the phone. She would call Jennifer Grey to get Depp on the phone so she could eventually represent him, which I did not know until we read that book. Never knew that.
Oh, yeah.
Happens to me.
Artie was in a...
So, I mean, to get off a plane and within 45 minutes, you know, have two separate people pitch you, you know, stories about God knows what.
What's your story? Do you have formal training or something?
Formal training in what arena?
Acting. Handling checks.
In interviews.
Yeah, I mean, when I first moved out to Los Angeles way back in '83, I was a musician. You know, I did that for years and years, and then started acting just to be able to, you know, somebody gave me a job and I could pay the rent for a while. So I just did it for that really, and then started studying. You know, figuring that somehow this is what I was going to be doing.
Yeah, you're a real actor, man. I mean, I am just such a...
Depp actually did attend, what's it, the Strasbourg School or something like that? He did do that. He did go to those a little bit, which I didn't think. He's very self-taught with a lot of, he'll say, hey, I want to do Ed Wood, so I'll take Casey Kasem and Ronald Reagan. And basically what JC said about that McClintock band, fusing shit together. Pointer Sisters and Megadeth, I did listen to that one, JC. I've listened to about 5 of them. It's unbelievable. It's so seamless the way you guys have to hear this. Like, it's like you'd think that Metallica ripped off Huey Lewis.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
It's so funny. And his editing is incredible.
Man, Did you ever?
We've talked about too how come he's never gotten an Oscar? He's so good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I always talk you up. Hey, what? Have you ever been rejected by a chick? Like,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Who? Like, what chick is like? Has there ever been anyone that we would?
LL is an Indian wants us all to drink Stuttering John's bathwater.
Oh God.
I don't know if I've said this. Are you guys still falling in love with Stuttering John like America did when he did I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here?
With Melissa Rivers.
Falling in love all over again. It's an interesting cast, though, when you look at that, though, that whole Calabasas connection with him and fucking Bruce Jenner.
Right. I love that whole saga.
I'd like to go back and watch that again.
Dude, the greatest channel that's popped up lately is Stut Joe's Fair Use Bologna Factory. That guy has me crying every video.
I'm going to call mine Olive Loaf Factory. Brendan writes, she's still getting Greco as a gift. Yeah, Brendan, I think that's feasible. We just have to get off of Amber Heard. We got to get away from. We got to let that fucking just kind of fizzle, and then we can get on to some serious Jumpstreet stuff. Stephen Williams and Greco definitely go. Go ahead, man.
I came up with something really good, but just way too late for G Canada. You know how there was Justice for Johnny?
Yeah.
G Canada can have Just Us for Amber.
Oh, nice.
Because there's like, just him and her sister.
The Just Us League. I like it.
Good.
Cooper 45 writes, I bet you can get high off Depp's bathwater, a contact eye off.
Nicotine residue.
Brown cigarette water.
Ugh.
No, that said, you know what, Johnny?
Blew you off.
Yeah, I'm not really interested.
I mean, someone that you would know.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. But throughout my life, certainly.
As we found out, Depp in fact was rejected, and I didn't buy it either. But he was. We found out that Jennifer Grey dumped him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He got dumped by Winona Ryder. He got dumped. So we didn't know the full story, but essentially that Jennifer Grey was a big one. Sherilyn Fenn, I'm not sure how that broke apart. His first wife, Lorianne Allison, I believe she dumped him. So a lot of it is, he wants to. Johnny's going to do what Johnny's going to do. And he's a bit of a wild child in those scenarios. But Jennifer Grey definitively dumped him, and Winona Ryder pretty much dead. It wasn't mutual. They claim it was mutual. It's never mutual. Is it ever mutual? Is it ever 100% mutual? Nah.
No, of course not.
I've been devastated by girls.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
He's right. He was devastated by Jennifer Grey. Pellel writes, Howard doesn't deserve those parents. Pellel, I couldn't agree more. Great parents are wasted on the Howard. Like to say, youth is wasted on the young. Good parents are wasted on king babies. You're so right, Pellel.
He's a total sociopath with them. He treats them worse than anyone else in his entire existence. He's known them the longest. They're the last people he can blame for how his life did or didn't work out. And I think
does anybody know any parents whose parents are alive collectively at that age?
No.
I'd never heard of that. I mean, you're talking 3 bills 2 parents are heading towards at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Well, David, when you worked with Ben Stern on Underdog on The Score, how was he back then as opposed to, say, in the 90s when you heard him calling in and stuff?
Bringing his 6-year-old son who used the word Japs to the studio. Yeah, it was annoying.
He wants to kill you. You're at that point too. It was really hard to correct stuff. Once you laid down the track when you worked with Ben in the 50s and 60s.
Exactly.
It was it had to be airtight.
Absolutely.
I have to correct you. It was actually Tennessee Tuxedo. Remember, David?
Oh, that's right.
Wasn't Underdog in the same studio? What did he work with?
I think so.
Yeah, because I remember he was talking to Underdog Lady when they were maybe making an Underdog live action movie that his dad did work on that cartoon. So I do remember that vaguely.
Nitrous Gal writes, he worked hard to not be on lunchboxes. He didn't want to, but he is on lunchboxes with pirates though. Nitrous Gal, which kind of he eventually was on a lunchbox, and I think Willie won. It's I think 3 or 4 movies that was actually turned into lunchboxes. You knew eventually you'd have to come. I love Jump Street. JD and I are the same age. Nitrous Gal, could you pass for a high school student at 25, 26? Could you go undercover as a narc like Tommy Hanson did? I wonder. We all wonder.
I could still pass for a high school student.
Really?
Yeah.
Who did they say you look? Somebody thinks you look like. Is it you said you look like someone, or someone
It was. I think it was me.
imagined you look like? Who do you look like?
I look like a cross between Karate Kid and Rick Moranis.
Ah, okay, right. Machio, yes. Rick Machio.
Nice.
Rick Maracchio. We'll call it. Maracchio is your nickname.
Nice.
Belo's a man who will fight for your honor. He'll be the hero you've been dreaming of.
I don't buy it. Not anytime recently. I mean, I just can't imagine. I mean, Kate Moss tried to kill herself.
Co-star of Beer League, I might add. Ralph Macchio.
That's right.
That's right.
It took her years. She's just getting over
She
him.
still can't get over you.
No, she didn't try to kill herself. That was all like press stuff.
No, of
She's
course.
just getting
What's
over
with
him.
her?
I know it.
Of course. What is her story? Too? She was always arguing with you. I go,
You guys were always fighting and tearing up hotel rooms.
yeah, why are you guys fighting?
No, the hotel room incident actually wasn't a fight. We weren't fighting.
What were you doing?
You were partying.
You were
No,
having
I was
sex?
yeah.
Were you having sex with her?
Welcome, John O'Reilly, our legalese expert all through the Deppening trial. Well, good to see you again, sir, and to you as well, sir.
Young man.
I was in a foul mood, you know.
You're pretty
One
wild.
of those days.
My career tweaking of Depp is I want him to play, and I think from the trial, I want Depp to play an actual lawyer, a contemporary lawyer. I think he'd be great.
That's a
at
good
it.
idea. Yeah,
I really
he'd be
do.
good
And
at that.
it's not very original. There's a million law shows and shit, but I think he could find a new twist on it, maybe in a
Dude, I
streaming
got it.
series. Go ahead, man.
All right, I got it. I was actually just thinking about this like about 15 minutes ago. If they ever do a remake of what the fuck? Matlock. What? With Raymond Burr. What the fuck?
Perry Mason.
Perry Mason.
He
There you
gets
go.
it in 2 seconds. 33
I knew he
of them,
would.
gets it in 2 seconds.
He would be great as a Perry Mason.
He would. I just I would love some twist on the legal profession. I think, watching the trial gives you a whole new appreciation for it and the John O'Reillys of the world and what goes into the prep. I didn't realize. I mean, they were plotting that thing out for 6 years.
He could play Ben Chu.
Ben Chu. If they were such good friends, then why didn't he just ask him for the money? Johnny would have to give it to him. I can't wait to read another transcript because I didn't know what Chu sounded like. We'd see him and stuff, and I'm going to do that the whole thing next time Sarah and I do a reenactment with him, because he's very clear. He wants to make sure you got every word in, and because he was on Zoom with those people when they would do the video witnesses, he was doing it like that, so they heard you didn't have to repeat himself.
Right.
Because the other woman, Jessica Meyer, was just like, what? And so it was, you were losing people. She's doing the whisper.
She's
acting,
a low talker. Yeah.
Yeah, low talker. Exactly. That's a Seinfeld episode, right?
Yes,
the low
it is.
talker?
Yeah.
And
It's the puffy shirt.
So I assaulted a vase and then a couch, and I was arrested for it.
I used to cringe every time he would be asked about that Mark Hotel incident with Kate Moss in the mid-'90s when they're promoting Ed Wood, and I can't believe it came up in the trial as much as it did. You'd think there'd be a statute of limitations on but the real story behind that, which he did not say, I don't think, in the trial, which I read in the UK transcript, apparently a friend had screwed him over. And again, I don't know if it's a money thing. Could have been Jenco. Could have been a Viper Room thing.
Right.
And he went nuts. And that did not come out until 2020. That he's changed his tune on that so many times. I can't believe he still asked about it.
Hey, Arm.
Yeah.
I probably have to jump off here in a second. So just letting you know if I escape
You
quietly.
want to wrap it up? You want to put a pin in it right here? We'll come back to it.
Whatever you want to do. I don't.
What were we gonna play? We're gonna play your song to play us out, right? We're gonna play. So this is David. We're at the we got 8 minutes ahead. We're at the 19-minute and 20-second mark. Okay. We're going to come back to this next week. So I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. We have Radio Gunk tomorrow. I'm not sure what time. I don't know if it's 7 or 8 o'clock. We're doing Beth Strionic birthday. Beth turns 50. We have several moments of her in some Beth Strionic fit of some kind and drama. And I believe that's tomorrow night at 7 or 8 o'clock Eastern time.
Can't wait. That's going to be great.
I thought he and Ryder were decided to part because they went public with the relationship. It was her that did it, though, Nitro's Gal. They claim it's mutual, but they're not. Nobody wants to take credit for lowering them, but it came out that it was actually Winona that couldn't handle the attention more so than him. And he was that's what sent him into the heroin spiral during Gilbert Grape. And he went to Juliette Lewis, and there was an intervention for him, which is also in one of the, I think it's the Tracey Jacobs transcript. They had an Artie Casey-like intervention for Depp in 1995 at his agent's house.
Oh, wow.
And he walked out on, about 6 to 8 people were sitting there, and he walked in on I think his sister, I think possibly Jenk, some friends, some family people. And he walked in and walked out, just completely bombed. They didn't want anything to do with it, was not receptive to it, didn't listen. He just walked right out. 1995, there was an intervention for him because of a heroin. It was, every drug imaginable, because the Winona Ryder thing sent him into a spiral. And that was right after Gilbert Grape. Okay, so CB, all I remember is Underdog would have gotten dizzy standing around with those. Underdog without his ring, and that was David's idea to write that in with the Underdog ring. Okay, that was your idea. I didn't realize that. Which DVD was released that had extras? You could hear Ben Stern. It was Underdog or Tennessee Tuxedo. I think it was Tennessee Tuxedo in that instance.
I love Gina's theory on why I have to leave early is I have Matlock rerun starting in 10 minutes. That's very true.
Nitro's Gal, thank you. No, you are clearly a Depp historian, because you just don't pull out that stuff. This is what we want. This is what separates us from the grifters, the lawyers, these posers who jumped on the history. This is why it's going to keep going. You're going to love when we have on Stephen Williams and Grieco, and we really go deep with Jumpstreet.
She's a Depp devotee.
She teaches high school, and yes, I can pass for one of them. Wow. She's the female. Who's the female Ralph Macchio, guys? The chick. You know who looks great? Susanna Hoffs from the Bengals.
Oh my God, she's so hot.
She's 61.
Who played Supergirl in the Supergirl movie in the 80s?
Oh, Helen Slater?
Is that okay? That's right. Yeah. I don't know.
Pre-promotion, says Two Master. Thank you, Nitros, says Sarah. Gunga Din writes, will there be cake tomorrow? I believe there will be. Speaking of cake, I want to put on my Patreon, thanks to Boff. Depp directed a movie called Let Neil Eat Cake from 1991 when he tried his first hand in directing. It's a short movie. It's 8 minutes. I'm going to put that on the Patreon. Depp is not in the movie. He directs it, though. His stamp and people are all over it. I want to thank Boff for. Thank you, Jen. Big fan of David and your work in Louise Brooks. Dorian Morgan said.
Silent film star.
Oh shit, Arm. I keep forgetting to bring this up. You know how you can't pronounce his company?
Infinitum Nihil, yes.
It's infinitum.
I've tried that, and I've heard him say it, and he didn't hit the I like that. I've heard 500 different pronunciations. I like your pronunciation the best. Infinitum is really, that's the way.
That's got to be what it is.
I've heard it pronounced. Yeah, I'm going with you. You know what? Let's go with it. Let's go with the Balo way, and we will. Infinitum Nihil is the best way to do it. No,
and I don't buy his his story behind that, saying it doesn't really mean anything. It's with these people, it always leads
Everything
back
means
to
something.
Egypt.
Agreed.
112 Productions.
Melvin writes, "Can ask anyone?" I agree. Interventions are based on lies from the beginning. It would be hard for the subject. Could you imagine, guys? How would you handle? I know we're trying to get off here, but how would you handle an intervention if someone did that to you? It'd be like,
oh God.
Would you?
I've kind of had one.
How did it go? If I may.
It did not really go well. I was very angry, but like I still went. So
Is anyone ever like, yes, you're right, you got me. Yes, I'm a prisoner to you. You know my emotions and my addictions better than I do. You're right, you got me. Here I go. Whatever you want me to do, please direct me. Is it ever
as hard as it is to admit they were right, I had to go.
Yeah, usually are. I mean, you're not going to that level. I mean, I trust your loved ones. Was it a last resort kind of thing? I mean, did you
Yeah,
know?
pretty much.
Well, I mean, I'm glad it worked out. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly,
seriously,
you don't hear a lot of success stories with it.
Dude, I'm if you had asked me at the time if I thought I would make it out, I would have said no, because at that point I was praying for death.
Oh jeez, sorry to hear
I
that.
gotta play for you the Stanhope clip from
from Louis' show.
Louis show. I thought it was a brilliant take on what happens in the throes of that. And again, it's related because Depp is and Stanhope are very good friends. We're gonna be playing some Doug Stanhope stuff probably next week, hopefully.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great.
He was the first guy to out Amber Heard way back in 2017, and he did a piece. He did an essay. Says she's a liar, and here's how I know why. He and Bingo overheard her plotting it the whole time. It did not get enough attention, I didn't think, during the stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing when evidence helps you, but is the celebrity big enough for it to be reported on?
I know, right? Is he not,
the weirdest thing.
That's so funny. You're so right.
It's actually really fucked up.
It is. Yeah. It is. This is speaking of celebrities. This is what Mickey Rourke has to say. This is the last thing.
The Mickey Rourke check-in that we always have to do.
Okay, ready? Can you see this?
Yes.
I want to talk to you also about
Look at him.
your friend Johnny Depp. What did you think of that case and the fact that in the end he won it?
Well, you know, I know Johnny for many years, but I don't really know him intimately. All I could say is I was in a situation one time where I got blamed for something that I didn't do. It cost me movie jobs for several years, and it caused me a bad reputation. And finally, the truth came out. But the truth came out after I lost movies and I lost jobs, and so I felt bad for somebody that is trying to get chopped down by some gold digger. You know,
that's all natural. That
you think that's what she was?
Absolutely.
Like, that's so crazy of him saying it's controversial, but it's not. I mean, at the same time, like, it's just what everybody's thinking, and he doesn't give a shit. In fact, do you remember he threatened Elon Musk?
Oh, that's right.
He had the thing. He challenged Elon Musk at some stupid cage fighting thing, and Mickey Rourke stepped in. He's like, "Oh, you want to fight someone? Fight me!" And it just stopped right there. It actually worked. He was completely terrified. I mean, that mug he has now. I mean, I don't know. I think he's 65. I want to say at this point.
God.
Cat lady face. I know.
He looks weird, but he doesn't look as weird as I thought he would.
He was in Sin City. Remember that? Robert Rodriguez thing.
He has like Val Kilmer face with David Spade hair now. Yeah.
Nice.
On that note, let's
perfect segue to the B. Arthur.
Okay, we're gonna put a pin in this. We are at the 18-minute mark in the Depp video. We're gonna come back to this, and I'm going to play us out with David's Golden Girls 3033 musical score theme music.
Oh my god.
God damn it, do I like this. Here we go. And this is an animated series the Golden Girls, hopefully, how it would go if a Golden Girls animated series would go, set in the year 3033.
I should just donate that music to you guys.
It's so delightful to hear from you, David. Good night, everyone.
I love that
Thank you for
music.
joining us tomorrow night. Radio Gunk, I believe, 7, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Beth's Bionic Personality Disorder Birthday,
That's
Part
gonna be
1.
great.
I love you all. Have a good night. Thank you, David. Thank you,
Thank
Belo.
you.
Thank you. Night, everyone.
Night, everyone.